uncertain extent decimated the population that lived there, along with their infrastructure and all of their history. And the British, to a large extent, were instrumental in this. So if you imagine that I'm actually a person that not just speaks their language and does so proudly and does so happily and advocates for them and the world peace that they've created to a certain extent and the standards that they've enforced in various many other nations tells you something about my exact position.
Yeah, if I can just say...
I should be angry, actually.
Final point. Hold on. Also, consider the fact that every single one of us here is talking in English.
Yeah, that's another thing. Okay. We would not have a unified language that is so easy for everyone to learn. Practically anyone can learn it.
Do you guys know that...
We wouldn't have the freedom to speak as much as we can with each other if it wasn't for the British and their language. Literally, it's the Germans, the language you speak, the language you type, and the language you think in and live in.
English is an Indo-European language with roots that go to Sanskrit, they go to Persian languages.
It's actually a Germanic language.
It is a Germanic language, but it takes influence from other languages. But yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No one's denying that.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're not arguing that no other country has had an impact. What we're arguing is that by far the overwhelming majority of the impact has been done by the British.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's just wrong.
My argument is...
You're literally speaking to me in English. How is that a lie?
If Germany won the war, we'd be speaking German. If the Dutch prevailed over the British, perhaps we'd be speaking Dutch. And if the French prevailed over the English, perhaps we'd be speaking French.
Guys, look, the calendar that we use is a Gregorian calendar.
Hold on.
We did get nuked for the third time.
The Dutch all moved to Amsterdam and became hipsters. They wouldn't have won.
The entire fabric of the British Empire was the VOC, which was a Dutch company.
Yes, I know. And the British also had an Indian trading company.
Okay,
but the difference is they did not build their colonies. They took it from the Dutch. They essentially took it from the VOC. So you're talking about who built the modern world. You could say it was the Dutch. You could say it was the Spanish. You could say it was the French. You could even say it was the Russians, and you could say it was the British. But to pretend that they are the majority is absurd. To pretend that they're even over 20% is absurd.
How can you say, okay, the English language, the fact that you're speaking the English language itself is more than 20%.
That's not an interesting argument that they were majority responsible for modernization. You're talking about a snapshot at the very end of hundreds of years of modernization and colonial empires and industrialization. Just because the British controlled the snapshot at the end, when all the countries started to go to democracy and communism and moving away from empires, sure, the British held land at the end. That's one snapshot. It's not relevant.
You can argue the transition to democracy was started by the French, whatever. None of that matters. The transition to democracy is only possible because of the United States. And the United States is effectively the only thing that's holding democracy in almost every other country together.
Yes, and many people would argue that the United States has more French influence than British.
No.
There are historians who made these arguments over the past 200 years. People have made this argument consistently. My point is that what you're saying is not even remotely close to fact. It's not remotely close to sensible to say that they're responsible for the majority. British is a significant minority of the European powers over the past millennia.
The American laws under which you live have been built by the British.
Exactly. The UK is a failed society now, yes, but it has still built the modern world.
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right. So
I just want to make the point. Go ahead.
Like literally the reason. Okay, if you look at squatters, the people that can come and live in your fucking house and literally effectively take it hostage. Why is that rule there? Is that from the French? No, that's literally a rule from the fucking British. if you look at the countries that allow squatters, it almost perfectly lines up with countries that were former fucking British colonies.
Okay, my point I was trying to say here was the Boers in South Africa
Everybody's
had to
so
face
stupid.
some really terrible things thanks to the British Empire. Okay, they were put into camps. They were made to be practically slaves. Okay,
Every country. This argument is irrelevant.
No,
this argument is irrelevant.
It is not.
It's completely irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant.
Can you allow me to
Because
articulate
every single country on earth has done slavery.
I'm just-
so this argument automatically becomes irrelevant. Who took the initiative to end slavery around the world?
Okay,
It was the British.
that's not true. There are many.
That is verifiably true.
No, it is not true. I can give you the names of.
Yes, it is. Okay, then disprove with actual historical record that is untrue. And actually, by the way, if that wasn't true, you'd be a slave as well, wouldn't you? Actually, most of us would be.
No.
Actually, I wouldn't be here.
Okay, the British lords that wanted to basically keep things the way they were did so under the pressure of their subjects. Those subjects ought to get the credit. No, it is true. For example, in India, the Indian reformers are the ones that pushed for the abolition of slavery to the chagrin of various kings, various lords. It was through societal pressure from the actual constituents that got slavery to go. That's what I'm trying to say.
When was this?
No.
18.
Hold on.
Yes. In 18.
The British decided to leave India because they themselves were already, the people at home were already pressuring the British government to basically leave the empire and start
That's
what do you call it when you the emperor? What the fuck is the word? I'm thinking of Adrian.
okay.
What is it when they start giving away? Yeah, they give it like allowing, like what they did with Hong Kong. They give it to the Chinese.
Independence?
No, not independent. Like
I'm really confused. Define to me what exactly you want.
Decolonialization?
They wanted to stop being an empire.
No, the British.
Colonization, yes.
The British.
The British people
The British!
pressured the British government to decolonize. If it wasn't for that, right, there was literally nothing stopping the British from continuing to stay in India.
That's not true. 1946, there was a mutiny by the Indian Navy, Air Force, and Army against the British. They did not want to keep being under their rule. Clement Attlee had to
The
basically.
British had the greatest military in the world, the greatest navy
In
in the
India,
world. India would not have been able to beat
No.
the British Navy.
You fucking losers know how to talk. It's like a bunch of autisms.
rebelled against the British in 1946. Clement Attlee was under pressure from the Indians to get out, and they did not. They
Okay.
could not. They couldn't keep it
This
going.
happened after World War II.
Yes.
This happened after World War II,
Yes.
where the British had already decided that they were going to start decolonizing.
They did not have any intentions of quitting India until the pressure came from the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and it was through that pressure that really pushed.
Most of the pressure was inside of the UK itself. It was not mostly from India.
And then also the Brits were having a debt to GDP ratio of over 200%. They could not continue their colonies. And there was pressure, yes, from the Brits, I agree, to decolonize, to cut on costs, absolutely. But with respect to India, it was that mutiny, or I would say actual independence war, that got the Brits to get the heck out. And I can show you all the documentation. 1946, Clement Attlee faced a lot of pressure. The Indian Navy actually stopped fighting. They refused to serve. Naval officers actually just quit the job. They refused to take orders. This is very widely documented.
And I'm still saying, because after World War II they had decided to decolonize, that was the majority of the.
They had no intentions of leaving India in practice.
Yes, they did.
In practice?
Yes, they
In
did.
practice, they had no intentions until the mutiny.
Yes, because it was being discussed that they would
And
slowly
the
start
Quit India
decolonizing.
movement. Sorry, the Quit India movement happened in 1942.
what I'm talking.
So that was preceding that.
I'm referencing to the 1946. The Indian Navy actually.
Yeah, in 1946, the British Navy was actually then successful at quelling the uprising.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. The United States also rebelled and claimed independence, but that doesn't negate the fact that the UK was initially responsible for the establishment of the British colonies in what's now the United States. Right? So
let me give you an example that I think many people will understand.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me give you all an example that you will understand, because this is disconnected from everything, even our lives. In the future, Mars will most likely be a colony of the United States, effectively, and maybe other global powers as well that gather together to make sure that colony is in fact possible on Mars. And Mars will be used as a place where basically many resources will be delivered from there, or even manufacturing will be done on that planet, and then sent to Earth so that Earth can prosper. One day, Mars will go the same way that the United States had with Britain. It'll want its own independence and say, fuck you. We want rewards. It will say, fuck you. There will be Martian civil war, there will be Martian uprising, and there will be a separation of Mars from Earth. Until eventually trade is set up of some kind, right? Then there will be a bit of a shift. But realistically speaking, if you want to consider that as a future outcome, and this will happen in some way, unless they come up with a bureaucratic way to deal with this problem, no one will ever be able to deny that the efforts of the nations that then put the first colony on Mars shaped Mars into what it then became, to then have the ability to separate itself from Earth's control. So the argument here is like saying that the British Empire, that was essential and it was instrumental in shaping the United States into what it eventually then became. It's like denying that. It's like saying, oh yeah, the colonies on Mars that were built by all of these nations, these nations had no contribution at all. It's the same logic. We're simply arguing against that. We're not denying the evils of any empire. We're not denying anything at all. We are simply getting down to the granular definition of which empire did which thing, and which empire was actually very successful and very great at accomplishing something that fundamentally, in a positive sense even, shaped the world. If it then became negative in some places, and then it withdrew from other places, and then that collapsed, that is entirely separate. The reason why we are speaking a language right now, the reason why we are even speaking on these devices, on this thing that's called the internet, is because is an outcome of what they did. That is undeniable. No one can deny that, and no one will deny that. And if they did, they're fucking stupid and they're lying.
Also, to add something, if you look at a lot of these countries, like Egypt, for example, the fucking Egyptians did not give a single shit about the pyramids, about their history, anything. If anything, they actually went around and fucking destroyed them and used them for their own purposes. So now these people want to come in. So now that they're all in the British Museum, now people want to come in and be like, oh, the British stole these from us. Why do you guys not have them in your own country? Because you guys destroyed everything.
Would you like to know why there are more speakers of the English language in India than there is the United Kingdom? And it's not just because of population. The reason is because they could not agree on a common language. So they used a language that everyone agreed was not their preferred language. So they selected English as their operating language to use. And that is why English prevails in the world. It is not because the British won World War II and therefore that's it. Regimes, governments around the world made a conscious decision. We will keep this language. It's not because the British were victorious and then they imposed this and so on. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true.
No, respectfully, I don't think it matters very much whether India is English or whether South Africa speaks English. I think what matters with regards to language is we live under a U.S. global hegemony, and the U.S. speaks English.
Exactly, that's the point I was going to make. The only thing that matters in English in the modern world is the U.S. It does not matter.
Really? What about Canada, Britain, Australia? Pretty big countries.
The United States speaks English.
Oh, so nobody getting laid this weekend?
But the British were the people that spread it around the world. They spread it to the United States. And so they have that indirect effect. But
Yes, and the Germans and the Danish spread it to Britain.
I mean, there's also French influences.
Okay, let me steelman your argument. Okay, so the Constitution of the United States takes its inspiration from the English unwritten Constitution.
Mostly the Roman Empire than the British, but
Yeah. No, so that component cannot be denied whatsoever. Magna Carta, many of those principles, those founding legal principles, those political beliefs are very much entrenched in the spirit of the U.S. Constitution. The English Civil War and the natural rights of the Englishmen have a huge influence over the U.S. Constitution. I mean, I'm not denying all of those major things. I'm also not denying also the fact that the certain English civil law is the operating law.
Just troll that way because it's fun. But I mean, he's definitely Fidel Castro's son. That's probably why he murdered his brother.
What do you mean he murdered his brother?
So Justin Trudeau has a brother, right? Like his mom was a whore. Like she traveled with the Rolling Stones. She banged Mick Jagger. Like she was a groupie. Like they were like swinging 70s, swinging 60s, fucking lefties, right? Mm-hmm. So I believe that cock diplomacy happened. And that either he or his brother is the result of cock diplomacy, and that cock diplomacy has been going on for a long time in some demonic way. So I believe he's the result of cock diplomacy, and perhaps his brother got a DNA test. But to answer your question, his brother died. So Justin Trudeau had a half-brother who died in a ski accident, in an avalanche, and his body ended up in a lake, and it was never recovered. Never recovered. Right?
It's
Son of a fucking prime minister.
No
political
one language
dynasty in the country
could
is
be
faggoty as he
accepted
is.
as the national language. The compromise was made, which was because the
that don't make sense. His body was
they
never
would say because the British had ruled us, and English was used for a long time, and by the bureaucracy, just for efficiency purposes, it's best to preserve this language, have it used, and because no other language could be agreed on, English was just kept as something to be used. So, I would ask you respectfully to also see that, governments had to make these very interesting compromises to basically govern their populations. It's not because of the British imposing this and whatnot. It's because certain decisions were made. I mean, the Indians did try to get rid of this English language as the operating language. In fact, nowadays, the government is very heavily focused on the use of Hindi. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it's not all clear cut.
No, I think it's very clear cut. The fact that it brings stability to the country, that they have to use things that are inspired by the English, is exactly the point that the British literally built the modern world. If that's what's bringing stability to the modern world, then that's look at now that they're trying to use Hindi, look at how much chaos is happening in India between the Muslims and the Hindus.
Okay, that has nothing to do with language, and that's like a completely different.
Part of it.
No, it's not. No, actually, no. Okay, if you want to get into this one, it's kind of the people, the Muslims of India. Many of them do speak Urdu, which is a sister language of Hindi. So that argument doesn't bears relevance there. And my point about using English, it's just literally being done. It's just literally being used and maintained because there's not a consensus on what the national language should be. It's not because there's this desire, ooh, we love English, ooh, we love the British. No, it's a political compromise because other language families have not been agreed upon on the language that ought to be used amongst the majority of the population. I mean, it's a very diverse country. So, I mean, that's just my point.
Hold up, let me make you my argument for why I disagree with your majority take in a way that might make sense.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. my big issue before it got so heated is not that you're saying the English were perhaps the most responsible, but to say that they were the majority responsible. And my argument is, I think there's maybe 5 or 6 or 7 European countries that are almost equally responsible, and perhaps all of them are a little bit less responsible than the British, but they are all almost equally responsible. And here's a great way to think about it. If the British disappeared this whole time, my argument is there would still be the United States, there would still be Canada, there would still be the Commonwealth, there would still be a global world, there would still be capitalism everywhere, there would still be Christianity everywhere, and even industrialization, because despite the fact that England at times led in all of these things, at times contributed greatly to all of these things, I'd say 80% of the effort was outside of England, in France, in Spain.
Hold on. Are you arguing that if the British disappeared today, or if they didn't exist at all?
If they didn't exist at all, if they were just some piece of land that nothing other than farming happened and it was controlled by France or Germany or whatever, my argument is the world would have gone almost the same way. Because
you're actually delusional.
I think it's very true.
This is the most delusional
so
thing.
what would be the difference? What would be the difference? What would not have happened?
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Most of the things that you would attribute to England today had already began happening through Spain or France or the Netherlands or whatever before the English took over. All the same lands would be colonized. All the same countries would be connected with trade. Capitalism would still have spread. Christianity would still have spread. The Industrial Revolution would still have spread. The rule of law would still have spread. Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
Why? Which one of those things would not have happened?
I do not think without the British there would have been any United States, and the United States was absolutely necessary for the modern world. I don't think, and I'm going to make a very, very, a statement you're going to disagree with. Democracy, as you see it in Europe or Australia or New Zealand, does not exist. All of it is pretty much backed by the US military.
I agree with that.
Yes. And the only reason South America exists, is because the Americans defended it from Europe.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. But Europe
that's why the South Americans didn't make a united South American state, because there was no need to, because the United States, being sympathetic to them, literally fucking defended them.
I agree.
If that wasn't the case, you would have instead seen, I don't know, maybe a Portuguese or a Spanish or a French, like the United States, if there was even independence, and it would have been the entirety of the Americas, not just the United States. I don't believe that they would create the U.S. Constitution. If you look at human history, whenever there's a revolution, these people have this very delusional, we'll start from scratch and build the better world ideology. They sit down and have this retarded ideology of, now that we've gotten rid of our leaders, everything can start again from scratch, and this time we're gonna do it perfectly. The fucking founding fathers sat down and they knew humans are retarded. Humans are selfish. Let's create a system to fucking prevent these retards from destroying the entire country. And that's what they did. The fucking Spanish didn't come up with that. The fucking French didn't come up with any of that. It was the fucking founding fathers, and most of them skeptical of, the Church of England, especially very, very, very skeptical of the Catholic Church. That's why they came up with these ideas.
You don't think that the Dutch would have done that?
Europe was. I don't think the Dutch would have been able to conquer all of the Americas. The Dutch were there. They came to what is now New York. I think back then it was called New Amsterdam. But
New Amsterdam. He's saying the movie.
Yes, but the Dutch also colonized much of Africa, much of India, much of the Indonesian place.
We know.
My point is, look, if you think about why was the UK the winner in North America? France was there in a very big way first. Spain was there in the southern part in a very big way first. What would have happened if Britain hadn't gone there? Probably the Dutch would have gone there in similar levels because Britain replaced Dutch in most of the areas where it operated as a colonial empire.
Okay, hold on, wait. I need to address some of the comments. Before the modern world, the rules-based society that we have now, which was created through British ideals and then later on enforced in the United States, there was no
British
such
ideals
thing as fucking stealing land. Right? There's people claiming that the British came in and stole land. There was no such thing in history as stealing land. You came in, you fucking killed a bunch of people, you declared war, you fucking killed all the men, you took all the women. That's how.
such a great history course, I don't even know why I went to college to listen to this shit, but this is the modern world where the genius people of Elon Musk's inner circle will be helping Donald Trump make all the big decisions, You know why X sucks? Because Elon Musk sucks. His guests suck. His podcast sucks. He thinks like the platform, like he's as big as the platform. The platform is like the whole thing. It's not him. It's the fact that he's got like, he can monetize truth with ads, but you didn't even really see any good ads. You see Temu. Now Elon is saying people need to read a lot more today.
Americans adopted it, they made it more strict, and they enforced it. It would not exist without the British and the Americans. There was no such thing as a country, proper country. Countries kept falling, they kept collapsing, they kept getting invaded. This was all of human history. So fuck off with this.
Fuck off!
This person stole that. That did not happen whatsoever.
So apparently, someone was sending me that Nick went on apparently some kind of outside event with a cat boy or something. This was some years ago. You guys know anything about that? Apparently, it was very controversial.
How is this relevant?
Oh, it's not. I just wondered if you wanted a topic change.
No. I think it's important that we address certain elements of history, right? This is important. It's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to do it. We're going to do it because nobody's willing to do it. Because if somebody else is trying to do it, then they do it because they want to enforce some sort of personal ideology on the rest of the world and the perceptions of others. I don't have a personal ideology. I have a personal set of principles, rather. If I had an ideology, I would fight for that, which is my genetic origin, but I really don't. I fight for merit. Because right now, what is... Go ahead.
To give you guys the summary, basically, the British had a bunch of kids. One of the kids was the United States. The United States is a kid of the child of the British Empire.
So stupid.
And
What a
they
waste of
decided to
time.
take Roman ideals instead, get inspiration. They were founded to be the new Roman Empire. And now that America empire is now literally funding and allowing the existence of every single other child that the British Empire had, along with every other country that doesn't. The entire world now depends on the United States.
Yeah. Which is why we're talking about them, even though some of the people here aren't even in the United States. Even the people that are listening here, even some of the people that are involved in this, even if you have like this argument with Ian Miles Chung. So there's that.
Auta's point about the stealing land thing is more true and relevant than most people probably realize. If you don't know, most of the Aboriginal or Native people around the world are actually very recent conquerors. For instance, the Aboriginal Canadians actually conquered that land from the United States area into the Canadian area only a few decades before the Europeans took over. The Maori in New Zealand arrived there only a few hundred years ago and presumably conquered natives there. Most of North Africa and the Middle East was conquered by Arabs not too long ago who now claim to be Aboriginal. So most of the Aboriginals in the entire world are actually recent conquerors before we kind of froze the world in the 1945 snapshot. Even in Africa, for instance, most of the land was conquered by a few tribes like the Zulus from other tribes. And this was very recent, only a few centuries ago.
It's freedom.
Alright, so there we go. We just went through the tough end, and now everybody agrees again. Fair?
Well, I still disagree with the original claim, but that's neither here nor there.
No. We've given you verifiable evidence, man. And it's a tough thing to accept, but by execution...
You haven't given me evidence of the primary claim.
Yes, we did. I did many, many times, and my brain goes very tired and exhausted of having to repeat it. But I will repeat it again. The French, when it comes to slavery, implemented something. It didn't last. Then slavery itself lasted until the 17th century. Then they tried again. Then it worked. But only after the British had actually begun punishment, implementing the systems of punishment on these people, right? It's not even just like a suggestion. They were actively acting on the problem they identified and set laws for. They were actively enforcing it, right? So the French tried and failed to do it first. Then the British did it at roughly about the same period of time that the French did, but were much more successful at enforcing it throughout the world in all of its colonies, even though many of the places where Britain was at now still may have slavery, but that is because Britain is no longer there and withdrew. So that is not something you can even put anywhere close to them, just because. It's like
Bitch, I don't care.
My favorite Jew should be on PTR.
So that was Adrian Dittman talking about history, and it's like his first clubhouse room every night.
It's fucking Ari Shafir, dog.
Hello.
Ari Shafir, man. The Amazing Racist.
Whoa.
do you not know The Amazing Racist?
Yeah,
oh
I know.
my god,
I know
look
who
at
he
The
is.
Amazing Racist. It's fucking brilliant.
I know. How did you meet him? He came to Canada and you saw him in the show?
He's not Canadian at all. Look at the nose on that guy. That motherfucker's not Canadian.
No, he came. He did a show in Canada. You saw him?
Did I send it to you?
Yeah. Great job, Abby. Hey, KB. Long time no see. Are you an AI chatbot now?
The original
I
claim
think
is
there's a little bit about
Britain is
the grand impact and the contributions. I would say.
About the app, and it was the first room at the top of the fucking thing.
Let me sum it up very simply. The original claim that I took issue with is Auta said Britain is responsible for the vast majority of building the modern world. My argument is, sure, Britain might be number one, but there's at least 5 or 6 countries that are very close to Britain's impact, very close. So I would say maybe Britain is 20 to 25%, but there's at least 5 or 6 countries that are like 15 to 25% impact there. And so you can't say that Britain is the majority when you could delete Britain and there would still be 5 or 6 countries with almost the same scale of impact that did very similar things and that would have been very likely to do the exact same things in the absence of the British.
No.
So
I would agree with the fact that you're part, I would agree with the fact that other nations and other cultures had a part, and a very large part in terms of contribution, but that Britain was the primary contributor stays.
That's
Primary
not
by
the thing I'm taking issue with.
a very large margin. That's okay. We can adjust to this.
I don't
Yeah,
think
we are not denying it.
Fine.
Just to be clarifying here, we did not deny the contributions of any other countries. Maybe you just misinterpreted what we were saying, and maybe it came across as wrong, and it probably was not properly defined. But we were not denying the contributions of other countries. We were simply stating that Britain was the biggest contributor out of all of them by quite a large
I
margin.
don't disagree with that. The thing
Right, there we
I'm
go.
disagreeing with is that they are the majority. If you say they're a majority,
Well, yes, they are.
no. If you say they're the majority, then you're saying the impact Britain had was at least 5 or 6 times the impact.
No.
France
We're not
and
putting
Spain and so on.
any exact numbers on
That's
it.
what
We are
the-
saying
that's
that
what
it was a majority because it had a larger impact than France. By the number and definition, we're
Majority
going to have to
means
get down
over
on that with
50%.
statistics to come to an exact
50%.
number, but I'd say easily
Yes,
twice.
so- yeah, that's
Over
okay,
50.
Adrian. But what I'm saying is,
over 50%. Yes.
Adrian's point here, I agree with completely, but it's very different from Auda's. Adrian's point, if you say the British was twice as impactful as the others, then you could say Britain was 25% and Spain and France was 12.5% and Spain was 12% and Amsterdam was 11%. Auda is claiming that Britain is over 51%. I'm saying that is beyond absurd.
We're literally speaking.
I'm saying there's no difference in what we're saying.
I think there's a
I
very
would hear
clear
the difference. I'm
because it's-
sorry, am I the only one who's not catching that there's no difference?
plurality, there is a difference. There's a huge difference. Your
really?
argument allows. Yes, there is, because your argument allows for France to be half of Britain's impact. Auda's argument requires that they be less than a sixth.
Is it?
And to say that they're less than a sixth, yes, it
is
is.
that correct in the assessment? That was like his assessment, or like?
Yes, because if
No, I want to hear Auda say it out. Is this characterization?
I would go to the extent of saying the British were probably 80%-ish.
That's absurd. We would have almost the same world if the British didn't exist.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I've already outlined to you why that is ridiculous.
I find that crazy. I think there's so little that is special about Britain compared to having a coalition of the French and the Spanish and the Dutch and the Germans.
The coalition would have fallen apart. All of those people would have been busy fighting with each other.
Yeah, Britain was fighting with them too. That's besides the point. You know, France was
No, it's not. This is a very integral point. And even if you wanted to say, that there are contributions done by other countries, you would only be able to justify them on the individual percent. So that individuals of those countries had contributed to the world, not the countries themselves. Like if you'd say, for instance, Germany and German engineering has contributed to the world in incalculable deal to a certain extent, right? But that is because of individuals, not the country itself.
Yes,
like
but
for instance, the entire existence of the space program is more or less the result of bringing, Nazi German scientists from Germany over to build those fucking rockets, right? So they were directly responsible for the shit that we see today. Okay, they were also responsible for the nukes. They were also responsible for all of this. Of course, there were other countries that then, of course, on the individual basis, the people's basis, then contributed to the creation of various, things that allowed for instance, the nuke to happen. Einstein discovering the principles. You had Oppenheimer put it together, even though he was having an emotional breakdown. The president sent the nuke. By the way, if Oppenheimer is the person who cries about the fact that he killed a bunch of people, that's complete fucking bullshit. He did not kill any of the people. He simply put the weapon together. Okay, it was the president of the United States at the time who gave the order. That blood is on his hands. So Oppenheimer can stop fucking crying about it.
That's literally what he said. That's literally what the fucking president said. He's like, what a fucking crime.
Real
Maybe never
pressed.
bring him into my office again. No, literally, the fucking president of the United States, when he brought in Oppenheimer said he regrets the fact that he did this. And the president literally said, get the fuck out of here. Not the exact phrasing, but basically that. He kicked him out. And then he told his fucking assistant, never let that guy come in here again. What a fucking crybaby.
Wow, that is hilarious.
The blood is on my hands, not his.
I mean, it is, you know, like it's like saying that the creator of the Kalashnikov is the person who's responsible for all his deaths, you know, at the hands of the weapon. No. He's the one who made it. It's almost like as if I could say that a particular, it's like if I imagine if I work on a machine and I operate this machine in an improper way, and then I get sucked into the machine that Bosch is the company that's killing people if it was a Bosch machine, right? But it's not. Right? It's a dumbass that used it for something. Or it's a serial killer that uses the Stihl fucking chainsaw to massacre people. It's not Stihl, the company's fault at all. It's not, the blood is not on their hands because it was not designed to, you know, saw people apart. It was designed to saw trees apart. It's the same argument. But anyways, just give it a reason. So yeah, we're not disagreeing. I think we're disagreeing on the exact number. By the way, this cannot be safely explained, but that the impact on an empire level was highest from the British Empire. That is a fact. On the individual level, in terms of the contributions via technology, culture, and various other degrees, that was, to a very large extent, actually, other countries, not Great Britain, right? Britain actually took on a lot of the cultural aspects of its surroundings. For instance, the white wedding dress, the Christmas tree, various other things. The Christmas tree, for instance, in America is only brought in by a fucking German. And the Irish were the ones who were responsible for Halloween.
By the way,
And, yeah.
what you just said, Adrian, is exactly why I think we would be fine without the British, because the reality is there was so much
No, you would not.
culture.
No, you would not. No. Here's the problem. You still need a facilitator. You still need a facilitator.
We
for
have
those cultures,
facilitators.
which the British
The French-
created.
you
They
wanna talk
created
about-
the environment. They created the environment where these things could be integrated into. Right? They were the ones who kind of like set
I
the
don't
table.
think that's
It's like
true.
saying that the people who set the table and made the table have no contribution to the fact that the table is there and the banquet is being had.
No,
Same
I
shit.
think they had a
It's
contribution.
literally
but I think you can fire that
exactly what we're
person.
arguing right now. We're arguing.
I think you can fire that person and somebody else
set
is
the
at the
table are the
table.
people that have nothing contributed to the fact that the table was there, upon which now is being had a banquet. By the way, you're also denying the efforts of the cooks.
Carpenter.
No, you could not.
You could replace any of those people with somebody else who could do the same job.
No.
Look, if you want to talk about empire level impact, I think what you guys are arguing, it's plausible to say the British were the most impactful, but in my
No, they
opinion,
weren't, because this
it's
is
just
the
an
world we live in.
example. It's an example of recency bias, because the reality is the French subjugated the British and dominated them for much of the past millennia. The French were more powerful
lost.
than the British 150 years ago. Yes, the British also
Yeah,
lost a dozen times to the French.
Yep, and
And you know,
persevered.
and you know who founded the
We
British?
can argue past
You know who
victories,
founded
man.
the
It's
British
not a-
aristocracy and the British monarchy is the French.
The British literally had several victories against the French.
Yes, and
Like,
vice
if you want to
versa.
keep score, there were actually more victories against the French than the French had victories against the British. If you wanted to keep score, because if you want to go down to that level, then it's going to look even worse for everyone else, actually.
I don't know about that, but look,
This is
even if
literally
you
what it
think
is. If you want to look at
here's where
wars and
these people
victories,
come
that's exactly what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
the British aristocracy and monarchy.
Okay, let Adam make his argument. Let Adam make his argument. Let Adam make his argument. Okay,
Wait.
fuck this. I'm nuking the button. Adam, make your argument.
Okay. So, if we want to talk about which modern country has had the biggest impact, it would obviously be the United States. But I'm arguing that I think the United States is over 50%, right? Over 51%, definitely. My argument is that the United States exists and has contributed to the world that it has and is the powerhouse that it is because of the British Empire and the things that the British Empire did. So it wasn't the British Empire itself that directly had its impact, but it's more that the British Empire had its impact indirectly onto the United States, and the United States kind of pushed it forward.
Are we in agreement? Sorry, I'm just mute buttons all the time there.
It's coming up.
I find the mute button is a little bit too delayed. It needs to be like that final, like one push thing where it's like instantly everything's silenced. Like on the instant that you press it, like fucking, you know, that's what we need. John, by the way, you want to say?
Also, for everyone saying I'm wrong and your only argument is morality, get the fuck out of here.
Morality. Oh my god, that's kind of funny.
Oh my god, they stole this, they stole that, slavery. This has been going on for all of human history. Just because of the Bible.
I'm glad they don't start arguing war crimes, because that would be a really fun discussion from the perspective of
Someone's literally
oh my
saying
God.
that morality is not a new thing. The Bible has it.
No, these
yeah,
people are crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
it was very effective. Obviously, the Bible was very effective at stopping fucking slave trades and rape and all these things for all of human history. These didn't happen just because the fucking Bible came out with these ethics. No, it had to be fucking enforced, and the enforcement has been predominantly done by the British and the United States.
It's been predominantly done by
law, not by faith, because faith was the justification in many of these instances, but not the definitive factor.
Look, I could take any two countries, including the United States, and say that was the majority, so that would be true either way. But yes, nobody who's arguing against Auda using morals is sensible. That's stupid. That's not how you argue who had the largest contribution. The bias that people have against European colonialism is absurd.
I think this person actually requested to come up. I think I saw it. Would be fun to let him up and see what he argues. The Bible came up with these.
And I think we can also then later on let on the key disruptor, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. Where's this
Yeah,
person?
they're not there anymore.
Yeah, they left. Where's this person? Okay, there we go. I'm letting this person up.
Yeah, it's been an exciting last couple days, huh?
Out my ideas if deemed of value.
Alright, no strange conspiracy theories.
Oh my
Obviously,
God,
just conspiracy theories. For instance, that's the first thing.
Yes, that way.
Oh yeah, if that person, please don't say anything racist. I do not want to have any of that right now. It's not going to reflect positively on anyone. But yeah, so no weird conspiracy theories or racist shit. That's the obvious. And racism is like an obviously objectively definable thing. All right, everybody knows how to act. So yeah, if you can operate within these rules, then everything's good. Everything's safe food.
You can do that, yes, absolutely. So what Auda was talking about is simply the notion of might makes right, that justice is merely and simply the interest of the strong. Just because things are the way they are, you're implying that that's how they should be. And you're confusing is with
We're not arguing there should be. We're saying that it always needs an enforcement because humans are imperfect and enforcement is done by might. I'm not saying that's how it should be, I'm saying that's how it is.
Is there a monopoly on might? And the answer is no. So we end up, what happens then?
Yes, the United States has one.
not as exclusive as it once. It's beginning to deteriorate. It has had it for the past, 70, 80 years since the bomb. But now even the bomb, even nuclear technology is becoming decentralized. And there is genetic engineering technology that's becoming decentralized. There are all sorts of psychological and social technologies that are very decentralized, language, mathematics. So there is no monopoly on might. And this is where...
If what you were saying was true, then China and Russia would not be using the petrodollar and backing it up.
So what happened...
China would not be afraid of sanctions. There's a reason that whenever they do something with sanctioned countries, they use their smaller banks, not their big banks. Because if the smaller banks get sanctioned, then it's no problem. But if the big banks get sanctions, it's a disastrous event for the Chinese.
What happens when you end up with an exponential existential technology, like many of the technologies we use in our world today, is you can, in order to win the game, you have to end the game. So in order to win a nuclear war, everybody will have to lose. In order to win almost any kind of war today with the technology we have, everybody will have to lose. The winner will lose. And that's where we're at. It's not sustainable. It's self-terminating.
Yeah, but what does this have to do with the argument that I'm making? That it was the fact that it was the British and the Americans that enforced this in the past that actually led to the modern world that we have now. If we take, Genghis Khan, we all know, Genghis Khan was a mass murderer, murdered a lot of people. But for the people that lived in his, empire, the Mongol Empire, he actually let those people have freedom of religion. He protected persecution of religion. He did that entirely through might. You need might to enforce the rules that you want.
In this particular anecdote you've used, might implies kinetic force, right?
No, it's also intelligence.
Okay, let's would it be power then? By might, let's mean rivalrous power, be it political, be it political maneuvering, social influence, etc. Right? So,
Yes.
Could that have been the only way that he could have achieved that?
Yes.
How do we know for sure that can be a counterfactual?
Because no other method in history has worked.
And this is the multipolar trap. No other method in history has worked because all other methods went up against violence and against manipulative and violent force.
Yeah, but this is the whole point of the United States Constitution, the fact that humans aren't perfect and they're retarded and they're always going to resort to violence, right? It's this exact optimistic thinking that says we're never going to have a world without the things that you're mentioning right now that has caused revolutions to fail over and over and over again. And the fact that the United States was, I would argue, the first ever successful revolution in all of human history, because they understood the fact that humans aren't perfect, and they actually calculated this into it. People before it had created this optimistic view that we're going to, break everything down and we're going to start from scratch. And because we got rid of the old people, everyone's going to do it right this time. And that never, ever worked out. The same idea with communism. You have this idealized version of humanity. That's not what humanity is like at all. For you to say we're not going to take violence and, cheating and manipulating people into account because humans should be better is a flaw, because it needs to account in human factors. This is why we have Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, how does that work, right? You don't trust other people, you verify it. You have multiple people all working together to come to the same conclusion, and everyone accepts something because they know if the system can be broken by one bad actor, it all goes to shit, we as humans automatically know that we can't trust other human beings.
So I think we now got to a question of human nature, because what you're building your points upon is or are assumptions about intrinsic human qualities. Is that correct?
These are not assumptions; they're facts.
Okay, facts about human nature. Now,
Yes.
And you also alluded to the social contract, which the United States embodies. Basically, humans. You said humans are not perfect, and therefore we need an overarching umbrella, some kind of institution, a nation state, a national government, something like that, a politic, some kind of politic body. To put them.
I think one of the founding fathers literally said, if humans were perfect, there would be no need for a government.
Right, and this is the Hobbesian assumption. I mean, Plato and Aristotle talked about this, but I think the one who put it most lucidly was Thomas Hobbes in his Leviathan, where he said that the condition of man in an original state of nature was solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, and therefore we need this Leviathan, this social contract to which humans delegate some of the responsibility of managing conflict and arranging deal with one another, right? Because he assumed again that the condition of man, just like I said, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. There are many things to be said about it, but you just consider that Hobbes himself, and this is and after him was Locke, and then the founding fathers of the United States, and many of the French and Scottish philosophers and thinkers, they based it on his work, on Thomas Hobbes' work. Thomas Hobbes himself said, "My mother gave birth to twins, myself in fear," when she heard of the Spanish Armada. So his view, just on a personal perspective, his view was very paranoid and very limited, and his knowledge of human history and human anthropology also was extremely limited. Our knowledge today is very limited. Now, it depends on what is the story of humans that we tell one another. Is it a 1,000-year story, or is it 200,000 years story? Because most of what we know about human nature and human behavior comes from our study of humans in very specific conditions, in very controlled environments. We do not have access to study human behavior in how it was, say, 100,000 years ago or 200,000 years ago. Most of what we know, almost all of what we know about human behavior and so-called human nature is post-agrarian. Most of our history is pre-agrarian. In fact, I would say most of what we know, most of our social science is post-industrial. So could humans have behaved differently, or did humans behave differently before industry, before agriculture? That's the question. It's very difficult because we don't have that big of a window. We only have, just measly fossils to look into that. So it's a very difficult question.
We have answers before industrialization. We know that Genghis Khan killed 10% of the world's population.
Yeah, but that's well after agriculture. That's well after grain, well after settling and settlement. And what about the people that existed before that? Were they human?
What happened to the Neanderthals? What happens to the other humans?
I'll let you.
Why did they go extinct? Why are we the only ones that survived?
I'll let you say that. I'm not going to make assumptions why you're bringing that up. So I'll let you say it.
Well, we don't know for sure, but it's very likely that our species was very likely involved in killing it because they were a threat to us.
So here's the deal. Putin has access to enough nuclear heads to destroy the planets many times over. And this is just one
of the United States, yes.
Yep, and they're not the only ones, right? And if some malevolent actor or some sinister agent gets access to nuclear technology, they would deploy it for their interest. We can genetically engineer completely new species. We can extend new species. This type of power was exclusive to gods in human myth and human story. If you talk to people 2,000 years, or if you read what people wrote 2,000, 3,000 years ago, this kind of
Hold
power.
on. Wait, I need to stop you right now. What does this have to do with our original argument?
Because this will demonstrate to us the very unique place we're in today as humans. This will show us that the pattern that we have used in the past to solve bigger problems and to resolve conflict are no longer effective and should be reconsidered. So when you speak,
So what exactly are you arguing for?
so when you,
Are you arguing that we should basically genetically modify the violence and the bad tendencies of humans away?
that's actually very interesting, because that's a very useful thought experiment because let's assume that we could actually do that. Would you want to?
Get to this.
I don't know. He's
What kind of fucking
basically
interdimensional bullshit is this? I mean, I just posted that time is not a flat circle, that this happens next. I think the universe is sending me a message saying that I'm correct, because I don't get whatever the fuck that is. I'm too flat-brained.
to answer your question. Every single aspect of humanity is there for a reason. And this idea that we're going to remove it away and there's not going to be any consequences because of it is completely ridiculous. Sure, we can maybe genetically modify ourselves out of violence and out of cheating, but who knows, maybe they serve a very good purpose. And if we modify
They're just dysfunctions. Yeah, I would say we do not genetically modify inherent behaviors out of humans. Instead, we enhance the existing things that we have, like our brains, for instance. That would be really good to enhance our brains, perhaps, to a certain extent. But to optimize out of this perfectly evolved thing certain tendencies that definitely have helped it survive and craft some incredible things is laughable. Never gonna happen. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And it will never stand for it either. Absolutely fuck that shit. Your emotions are there for a reason, even though they're annoying. If you don't control them, it's a problem. But they're there for a reason. The fact that you have violence is there for a reason. The fact that you are opting out and, say, cheating on people, that is just a dysfunction of you having, say, I don't know, we should probably, switch different preferences, right? It depends on what kind of, decisions you've made. This is just the outcome of you trying to cope with the decision that you've made under false pretenses, perhaps, or you haven't thought straight when you made it, right? That's just a human trying to cope with an existing fuckery of a mess that it created for itself. To then say that that is something that needs to be optimized out of humanity can only happen by way of knowing more things and thereby making better decisions, so that you don't have to cope with these situations, and then by trying to cope with those, doing things like that. And violence is much the same thing. You need violence in order to defend yourself against certain stuff, like, say, for instance, nonsense. The act of acting against bullshit information is somewhat violent in nature, because it is in opposition to something, right? War exists at a microbial level and bacterial level in your body, right? The reason why you are still alive is because your body is constantly at war. I just ate a bunch of eggs. I can assure you there's probably a bunch of stuff that's on there that my body's fighting with right now, and it's fucking loving it, right? There's stomach acids that are ripping apart everything right now, and it's absolute fucking hell down there. I wouldn't want to be down there myself. The only reason why I survive is because of all the mucus and shit, right? Anyways, that is the idea. You don't optimize war out of the human. You're fundamentally based on it.
Adrian, let me
Even
try
your cells,
to
your white
bring
blood
it
cells are a perfect example of it. They're like little white, they're not even really white, they're just like these things that exist. They're really cool. I like them. White blood cells are awesome. They're like the defenders. And the immune system is incredible.
So, Adrian, what you're talking about,
back to the original point. What does any of this have to do with the
when you spoke so, I'll tell you, when you spoke so forcefully, saying that it has always been this way, there are no rules, there was no, what got you into it, and what got my attention when you started talking about throughout history, there was no such thing as stealing land, right? You simply took the land and you killed the people, you took the women, and the land is yours, the women are yours, and that's that. There were no rules. I don't want to paraphrase you and say something that you didn't say, but that's what you were trying to say. My point was morality has always been there to kind of put some kind of make that less transgressive, because we recognize that we could be the carrier of injustice today. We could have power on our side today, but it could flip tomorrow and be against us. This is one thing, and the other thing is now we are at such point because of the technology we have. We just can't do that anymore. It's we have just too much power for it.
Wait, are you saying that we cannot have our own morality anymore and that it's impossible? I don't understand. You gotta press a little bit. You sound like an AI.
Sorry, I'm not. So the rivalry or
By the way, in what you're talking about morality given to us by the Bible. In the Old Testament, God told the Israelites to rid the land of whole people, like the Amalekites.
Well, I only use that example as an example of just a long track record of human attempt to find some.
Just make your point. I know the context. We have more context than you can imagine. Is your point? Because I'm trying to piece this together myself, which is insane. Is your point that we live in a world in which morality has to be enforced differently than just something that's inside of somebody's head or our heads collectively? Is that what you're saying?
See, Adrian, when you say we live in the world, there is
yes, or is that a no question?
It's more complex than that, man. It's not that simple. So
I don't understand what the point is. You're just talking for the sake of talking. There's no way. Every single time I nail something down to a certain extent, you can literally not take any part of that and say, okay, well, here is this, here is this, here is that. You can't do that. You actually don't do that. You're just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and there's no substance, no context, no consistency of any kind. It's like a hallucination. It feels like when I dream and I think of a video game and it posts at the same time, and I can't really pin it down and think of anything, so I'm just waking up and I'm like, what the fuck did I just think of?
We have the capacity to develop existential technology. We should develop within ourselves the responsibility to steward that technology well.
We already have that.
None of this has anything to do with our original argument anyway, where we're talking about historically. Yeah, we can.
I think if we can make the argument, if you can make the argument of saying, oh wow, we have new technologies that we haven't before and our morality is insufficient for that, I'd wholeheartedly disagree. Every day is just about a stick that you have being smaller than the next bigger stick that you can find in terms of technology, ability, and weapons. So say, for instance, if I had, back then, having muskets was the thing that would separate you from someone who had a spear and would give you the higher advantage. Now it's like nukes, for instance. Now everybody has nukes and says, these are pretty big sticks. If I use this thing, it's going to fuck me because you're going to fuck me with a big stick that you have too. Okay, let's not use that big stick at all. But everybody has the big stick. So in this world, this is also why free speech is very fucking important. Everybody has to have a big stick. Literally everybody has to have a big stick. Okay, it's just about who wields it better than someone else. That's where the merit argument comes into play, because free speech is just literally like that. And then perhaps somebody else admires the fact you can use your stick better than somebody else, and then aligns their sticks with yours, and then you basically have a collective big stick. That's kind of how religion works in a sense. That is really how all of this breaks down. When it comes to new technologies, it doesn't change how humans work, not at all really, except for the perspective of being able to transmit more information to more people and then have more perspectives inside of singular brains that receive all of them and that are willing to receive all of them. But beyond that, there really is no change in morality here, only that people forget it. That's the difference. We're just memory holding stuff now, including morality. That is a big problem.
What's the difference between what and what?
It's what?
Yeah,
What's the difference?
I thought you were asking me a question. What's the difference here?
I didn't ask any question whatsoever. I was making a statement based on whatever you said, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no different than anything.
Yes.
I'm just simply stating that you're talking about stewardship of technology and you're not making any sense no matter how much you talk.
I'll keep my peace then.
I'm the only one who's going to say it.
By the way, Lauren.
I can elaborate
I'm
further.
the only one who thinks this because I'm really frustrated.
Well, do you wanna engage this, Adrian? I mean, I can delve in this a bit deeper.
No,
I don't think you've.
I think we're already engaged.
I think you've argued. Yeah, I think we've already engaged. You haven't made a point very well, and you've kind of derailed the conversation from what we were originally talking about.
Yeah. See, he's going to tell it to you in a nice way. I'm just an
So
asshole. And I
funny.
apologize for being that, but I am. Anyways, we do have an interesting situation that is about to occur. We have the subject in question that launched all of the chaos that has been quite beneficial to someone like myself, ironically enough. Laura Loomer is on the stage. Welcome.
To a crash on Forest Road.
Thanks
late
for
that
having
night
me.
On October 13th. That's where they found Brandon.
What brings you here?
Truck, but he was nowhere to be found.
Well, I decided to come back because the other night I tried joining your space when you were booted from the other space, and I wanted to participate in your space, but because my account was disabled, I wasn't able to request to speak. It kept on kicking me off, so I decided to come back to finish the conversation and to talk about free speech and to talk about. I mean, ideally, it'd be really nice if people could see the bigger picture here and supporting President Trump and supporting his America First agenda as opposed to fracturing the base over censorship. And I know that Elon probably doesn't agree that it's censorship because he thinks I doxed his friend, but as I
He doesn't think he doxed anyone's friend. It's not his friend either. It's a official that is acting in whatever position he was placed in. Now, here's the thing. The violation in question was you took, albeit public information, placed it on the platform, but did not censor personal information contained within this public information. It clearly states within the TOS
Let me tell you what
that's the
happened.
personal information. It doesn't matter if the information is public. If the information is personal information and you're releasing it without that individual's consent, that is a problem and that is a violation. This is deliberate. It's literally word for word stated in the
I
TOS.
posted the image. I'm telling you exactly what happened, and I have the screenshot to prove it. So I posted the image originally, and I blurred it out on the editor on my phone, and I posted it. And what happened was the top part of it, it was like mostly covered, and then as soon as I realized it, because in premium it gives you 30 minutes to edit your post, within a couple minutes of seeing it, I immediately edited the post and changed it, and I increased the block because the edit function on the annotate option didn't cover it all the way. And I was very honest about that. And I edited the post, and I immediately deleted it, and you can see, because obviously Twitter does not allow doesn't allow you to edit a post past 30 minutes. And so when I refreshed the post after editing it, it had showed that the new version had covered it completely. And I have a screenshot to prove that.
Okay, so hold on.
Yes.
So we already have your original post. Someone based on your original post can find out the full address of Surround inside just the picture itself.
And I explained to you
hold on, let me finish. Just because you edited the post doesn't mean that people after that can't see what the previous post was.
Well, I thought that when you edit a post on X, it changes it to what you edited to. That's what my perception.
Unfortunately, it doesn't replace it. There's a button to see the old version, so the only way to delete something is to delete it.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. I thought that when you edit the post, that it changes it for the good. So if that's the case, I apologize. And
it changes the post, but the previous version of the post still remains. So you can see this on any single post. I always delete my posts if I think that I need to edit them. But even if you edited, the original version of the post is still there for you to see, even if you click the little button to see it. And even for previous quote posts of that post, by the way. So
also,
when I refreshed the image, I just want to know that on my end, when I refreshed it, because I would have deleted it if I thought that it was still there. But when
the issue isn't that you could have edited it or deleted it. It's that you shouldn't have posted it at all if you hadn't blocked out that information.
Well, as I said before, when I edited it with the annotate feature in the phone, it had covered it, and I uploaded it, and it had only covered it halfway. And I said that I was going to fix it by removing it and re-uploading it, which I did, and you can see this in the back end of X, or you could see just from the screenshot itself. So again, I'm not trying to incite anything against Tiram. I wasn't trying to dox anybody. I know what it's like to be doxed. I've been doxed. I've been swatted before. It's not pleasant. I know what it's like to live and get death threats and have people post your personal information online. I was posting an FEC record, and my thing is look, I'm willing to have a conversation with Elon and X about this, but I think that if that's the case, because I think it was Ken Kippelstein, however you say his name, also had this issue a few weeks ago where he got banned, and they said, oh, he posted JD Vance's docs because he posted the dossier, and then there was an argument that it was personal information that was being reported on through a document. And so maybe X should just clarify their terms of service as it relates
It's already
They are.
very clear
They have.
in the terms of service.
Well,
You literally just quoted them back to us, those exact words.
That doesn't matter.
Laura, can I say one thing really quick?
Wait. Hold on, wait, no. All right, so, hold on, let me find the post. I'm going to link you to the post along with that has the link.
The
That
post is
states-
gone. The post is
No,
gone.
not your post. Not your post. I'm going to link you a post that explicitly states X's rule, and this was the rule before you had uploaded that picture, that says even if the address is public information, you are not allowed to post it.
Can I say one thing?
leads
Can I
to
say one thing real
problems
quick?
with people. Okay, go on.
Laura, here's the thing, and I'm gonna say it as clear as possible. So hopefully, maybe we need to be more clear, but I will be as clear as possible for you. When they sent you back the screenshot and you posted the screenshot of, hey, delete this post, even if you deleted the edited version, delete the post means literally delete all of it. Not like, I don't understand how much more clear that is, but that means
that's not what
delete
I'm
the post.
talking about. You're conflating two things. They didn't say
I'm letting you
delete
know
the
that's
post.
the reason.
All
They
right,
didn't
Laura.
say
I'm sorry, can we move on to the... Hold on, wait,
They didn't
before...
say,
Laura,
nobody ever told me to delete any post until after my account was suspended for 12 hours, and then it said in order to get your access back, you have to delete the post. So I deleted the
Okay,
post.
Laura, do you see that thing I've pinned up there?
No, I only see. Okay, now I see it. Yeah.
Okay, so click on that. That one clearly states the rules. I have the link as well, so you can check. I haven't photoshopped this. It says, is the information available somewhere else? However, we may take action against home addresses being shared, even if they are publicly available due to potential for physical harm.
Okay. Well, I understand that, and I wasn't trying to post his personal information. I was posting an FEC record, and there's nothing to be done about it now because obviously my account has been unverified. But I just wanted to say that I have opposing views on immigration and opposing views on H-1B visas, and I am a Trump supporter, and I wasn't trying to incite violence against anybody. I wasn't trying to get anybody harmed, and that's all I can say. And I apologize if he feels that I was posting his personal information, but I guess there's really nothing else I can do except to tell the truth like I did and say that I apologize if he felt that I was targeting his personal information.
He didn't feel anything. This is a very strange thing to say. He didn't feel anything at all. This was an enforcement of X's rules. That's just to be clear here. Nobody reported anything from his end. This was literally stated.
I've posted a lot of FEC records in the past.
Right. So there was an address in there. That address is personal information. As such, X acted on this, making sure that the personal information along with the post is gone. That's it. Nobody felt way about this.
Why can't there be some kind of a resolution? Or why can't there be a probationary period? Why does it have to be so, I guess.
There was. You literally just got locked out. You can be glad you're still here, because normally this falls under the category of doxing. We should be suspended. Well, and you got a 12-hour lockout. That's nothing.
Yeah, I'm asking,
People have been punished for way worse.
Okay, I'm asking in a good faith effort what I can do to restore my verification because I am a citizen journalist and I use the platform.
Hold on.
And I
Okay.
That's what you could do.
hold on.
Wait.
wait for what?
Here's some good.
Laura, let me be completely honest with you. Let me say one thing, okay? We understand you said sorry, okay? We get it. But here's the thing. You let an address out for somebody who's a lot smaller than you. You have to think about it. A plus B equals C. You have 1.4 million. He had 500 followers. You're literally sending people to like low key kill him if you go against him. It's not right. That's just.
I did not say anybody should go kill him or do anything. I was
That's why the enforcement is. Understand? No, stop. Everybody, stop. That's why the enforcement is so strict. Do you understand?
Okay. I understand. I'm asking. What I'm asking is what can the solution be so that everybody can calm down? So that
Okay, hold on. Okay, before that, if you have a large following, you automatically have to have some responsibility. You have to take some responsibility. You have to make sure that look. Nobody, even if you don't advocate for someone to go and kill someone else, you have to realize.
Even if you don't do that, you have to realize.
Automatically retarded. If I put this post out, someone is going to lash out. Someone is going to react badly. And this could result in someone getting hurt. And that, if you truly believe in Trump, if you truly believe in the MAGA movement, if you truly believe in, conservatism, whatever you believe in, if that happens and it's on you and they report you're close to Trump, you're close to this, you are damaging the very movement that you want to protect, you want to push. If bad things are associated because one of your followers did something bad, you have to also make sure to be more careful.
okay, I understand that perspective, and again, going forward, well, I guess I'm not really able to practice my citizen journalism anymore because, like I said, people that want to subscribe to me, people that want to support my work are not able to do so now. I will make a greater effort to make sure that everything is 100% blurred out, or maybe I won't even post FEC records, but.
Hey, Laura. So, like, hold on. Hold on. Let me say one thing, please. Laura, I know you've never worked in IT, and I know you've never probably worked at a customer service, but, like, here's the thing. That ticket of you appealing all that stuff all got escalated. I'm almost 100% positive, right? Somebody's going to review it, and you just have to wait. And
no, it doesn't say it's under review. It doesn't say that it's under review. I'm explaining this to you. It said that it was under review. And it's gone.
Please don't interrupt. 2,500 subscribers is what you had, right? Think about on Christmas, somebody that's in IT is sitting there calling Stripe, trying to reinstate all of your stuff, and they can't do it because they need an approval from somebody that's a manager that's out, and they can't contact them. You need to just wait and hold on. It's just that simple. Like, if you're saying, hey, I'm sorry, just please wait. If you lash out and keep lashing out, you're not giving anybody a reason to help you.
I understand, and that's why I'm asking. I understand what you're saying, but I'm asking because I don't see it on my account, and I'm telling you, when I click to purchase premium, as I've done before, it's saying you cannot purchase premium because you already have premium, and it charged my card again today for premium, but it's not letting me have my verification. And also, it's insulting to me because I took it very personally in the age of Twitter 1.0 when Jack Dorsey would go around calling us like Russian bots. It's very dehumanizing in my opinion. And now I'm being called an op. I'm not an op, okay? I have strong views on immigration. And
nobody here is calling you an op. Right. No one here is calling you an op. We are specifically addressing the problems you have caused.
Yeah, and
this is just the surface, by the way. We're going to get into other things down the line as well.
Okay.
But no, I'm explaining to you that this narrative that's online right now. There's this conspiracy theory going around now online where people are saying it's an op. Jason posted it, David Sachs posted it, and my question is what is the op?
Okay.
Hold on, please. Can I ask something? Hold on. Can I please quickly?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So,
Adrian, let him talk. Yeah.
Laura, For the time that you were verified, there's two questions. Did you change your profile name and profile picture during the time you were verified? And were you verified through a VO with the little square badge, or were you just normal verified?
No, so I was always verified normally by myself. I haven't changed my profile photo in months, and I haven't changed my name because I'm aware that your verification goes away when you do that. And then there was a badge that I'd already paid for my own premium. And then there was a group, the conservative group, that said, "Oh, well, we'd like you to be affiliated with us, and you can be a part of our organization badge." And I said, "Great, thank you very much. I appreciate that." And
so when something happens to that, either that group or your own status, like a suspension or whatever, or even you deactivate your own account, the verification can go away for weeks. And that's not because they want to take it away. That's just how the system works.
Okay, so I'm asking, what do I do to get it back?
Wait.
Hold on.
You have to wait. You have to literally wait.
Unless you can get someone high up in the company that can fix it, I think waiting just a few weeks is the best solution.
Well, that's why I'm
Also,
asking. That's why it's obvious that people have had, and I know for a fact that people have had conversations with Elon Musk about my account, and obviously he's upset with me, but I think that for the sake of moving on and for the sake of us putting President Trump first and the sake of us kind of toting it down publicly,
Laura, nobody's mad at you.
things are very heated. He's very mad at me. He thinks I'm a troll, and I'm not.
No,
I'm not
That is not
mad
him
at you.
being mad. That is not him being mad. He's just making the assessment that you are trolling on the timeline. And I'd say, okay, so what would you rather be called, a racist or a troll?
A troll, but I'm neither. And I
Good,
think
there you
Elon
go.
Musk would find that I'm actually a very reasonable person, and I'm grateful. I praised him. I was very grateful.
You called Indian
I know what I
immigrants
said.
third world invaders.
Yeah, I know what I said. I'm not denying.
There's a bunch of other things that you said about him as well, and various other people that I can pull up, which
I know.
will cement,
I'm not
I
denying
think,
it.
the
I'm
argument that you
saying
could be called
things
a
got
racist.
heated. Elon Musk also tweeted.
He's not mad at you. He's simply calling you a troll because do you want to be called? Like, here's the thing: was your intention to troll, or was your intention to be actually racist?
I was trying to raise awareness about an issue.
No. You answer. Were you trying to be a troll, or were you trying to be a racist?
I'm not a racist. I was trying to raise awareness.
Okay, good. Then you were trolling. Yes.
I don't think it's either.
But when you say it's trolling, it kind of.
I think it definitely should be because it's either or. Realistically, you are either saying these things to troll, or you're saying these things to be racist. Either one of these. It's very binary.
He says. All I'm saying is, if he says.
She's not saying anything. He's not saying anything. I'm asking you.
He did. He called me a troll. I'm not a troll. I'm not a racist.
Yes, you did. So do you want to be called a troll, or do you want to be called a racist? Because either way, these kinds of things can be defined.
Neither.
Adrian, I don't think it's fair to put her in either of those two categories if she doesn't think she is.
Do you want me to read out all of the statements?
Yes. Both of those things are about intent.
No, we've read the statements. I really just want to get back to doing my investigative journalism. To be honest, I really just want to support President Trump, and I was looking forward to going to Washington, D.C. and supporting the confirmation process and working hard to support President Trump's agenda. And
well, this is really clearly not working because you're going actively against the people that were chosen by the administration.
Yeah.
Well,
also,
so it's really not helping. Now, before, everybody shut the fuck up. Everybody shut up. Lawyer Cat goes next.
This is not ex-customer service. Why are you here for this?
Drama addressing, I think. Yeah, go ahead. No, John, shut the fuck up or I'm booting you from the stage. Laura speaking.
I wanted to get some feedback because I haven't been able to get any customer service, and I reached out to Premium and I never got an email saying that my Premium service was ended. I simply saw that my blue check was under review, and now it's not saying under review anymore. It says get verified. And when I click the get verified button, it doesn't allow me to verify my account. So I was hoping that people could provide me with some answers because I'd really like to be able to get verified again.
Who here?
Wait.
One more question.
Okay, fine.
Who here do you think works at X and could do something about this?
I don't know who works at X. I saw the other night on Adrian's space that there were a few people who had X in their bio and indicating that they perhaps work for the company. But again, I'm asking questions about how I can get my verification back, and if other people have experienced this, and what the best
Right.
solution is, because I'm
Laura.
solution oriented and I want to get back to having my verification. I feel like my identity has been taken because
Okay.
a blue
Laura.
check is supposed to verify your identity, and it's not. That's how it was in the previous Twitter, and that's how it is now as well. And when you're not verified, you get ranked as spam, and that's what's happening. I've screen recorded it. When I post, it's now saying that it's probable spam, and I feel
Hey, can
like
I ask you a question?
dehumanized.
Hold on, wait. Let me make. So a good way to start would be to take some responsibility, issue an apology post, and admit that you weren't targeted for the political view, but because you broke the terms of service. That would be a good place to start.
I already made a post saying earlier, and I sent it to Blythe. I said that
Send it
I
to
wasn't
me,
trying to
Laura.
dox.
Laura, send it to me. Send it to me.
I said I wasn't trying to dox, and that if I caused Serum harm, I apologize. I said I was sincerely sorry for that.
Now I have a question for you, and I want you to answer this honestly. All right? You do realize that your show is still verified, right? Your show's still verified. So it's not like they stripped you of everything. They just took yours away while conservative lost theirs. Okay?
But my show though doesn't have the ability to have my subscribers, and so my account for my show doesn't qualify for subscriptions, and so
Laura, I understand that, but here's the thing: you're going around what I originally said. Imagine there's a guy that has to go and reinstate 2,500 subscriptions after they just got refunded on Stripe. You're not thinking about the one guy who has to get all of that approved. He has to sit there and wait for his manager between Christmas and New Year's, where people are on vacation. That's why we keep telling you to wait. It's a big amount, right? You're a big account. We know who you are. Every person in here knows who you are, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, there you go. There's your ego stroke. We know. Everybody knows. Why don't you just hold on and wait? And once you get an answer and a reply, then you can jump to conclusions and you can say this, that, the third, Elon hates me, da-da-da-da-da. But don't forget, conservative also lost their badge because of your doxing, right? So while your verification is also in review and that amount of subscribers just got refunded, that's an instant red flag in somewhere in a system. You've never worked in IT. You don't understand that. Like, you don't understand how these processes work. It has to go through steps. Like,
Also, 14 minutes ago.
You can't just walk in. You literally can't walk inside of a store and demand answers every single time. It's a company. It's Fortune 500,
Okay.
correct? Like, stop
Also-
trying to debase people and cause chaos because you haven't got an answer in what you're considering a good amount of time.
well,
It's not-
that's what I'm
you're a
asking. Though.
company.
What is the period
Hold on,
that
wait.
I have to wait? You can
Okay.
say wait all you want. Is it waiting for a week? Is it 6
I
months?
literally cannot see the apology. Holy shit, you posted a ton of stuff.
I know, because I'm upset. I've been very upset. I'm very upset.
It's like you're
about it.
making the apology, but then you're undoing everything you said.
Okay. So just 14 minutes ago, you said this is censorship. I understand you don't like me, but this is nothing but retaliatory censorship.
Well, because
How is
he replied to Mario's tweet where he said, play stupid games and win stupid prizes. And he said, yes. How am I supposed to react to that other than, okay, it's retaliation? And then today, Ian Miles Chung made a comment calling me Al-Qaeda when I'm like one of the most outspoken people against Islamic terrorism. And he then posted an emoji laughing about it, almost agreeing with the fact, or really just agreeing with the fact that I'm a terrorist. That's not nice. It's actually very upsetting to me because as somebody, I'm just explaining.
Can you send me your actual apology, because I simply cannot find it. Can you even find it yourself?
Blythe, can you please forward it to him? I just sent it.
sir. Yeah, I can forward it. Look at the chaos.
Maybe people can't relate to this, or maybe people can't empathize. But as somebody
You talk too much. You're worse than a leftist politician, and I've argued with leftist politicians before.
I'm explaining to you why I'm so upset, and I want their.
Okay, we know why you're upset, but you're upset for all the wrong reasons. And you should be upset at your own actions. Now I'm going to read your apology thing next. But the amount of chaos that you have directly caused, and refused to back it, you could have literally after making this post and deleting it and after getting your account unlocked, you were even on Spaces. You even had the ability to go onto Spaces. Even after all of this, you could have just said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I accidentally didn't blur out this part of the address. You take this however you want. I did not want this to happen. I am very, very sorry about this. Finish. Send it out there. Continue as you did before. Instead, you opted to making up a bunch of bullshit with the Conservatives OG account, getting a whole bunch of racist people in there to fucking support you, including a guy who's a fucking professional anti-Semite, if there is such a thing, to support you as well, which is the wildest thing I've ever seen. I did not think I had that. I thought that was even possible, or that you could have that on the 2024 bingo card. Holy shit, that was insane. That happened yesterday and the day before. Like, all of this kind of stuff, you've caused so much chaos, and you could have simply avoided all of this if you wanted to, which you didn't, because you could have done this. You could have just simply said, I am sorry, not been rhetorical, and just ended this from the get-go, but you did not. Instead, you drummed up a bunch of chaos, caused massive amounts of harm, mobilized entire armies of dumb ideologues to try and be racist against other people, where they can't even read fucking statistics. Oh, by the way, those people are after my ass now as well. So congrats for that.
Well, I didn't orchestrate the Spaces. I don't control the account.
You didn't orchestrate. You directly influenced and drove the orchestration. There's a difference, but the difference is very small.
Well, I think everybody's responsible for their own individual actions. So
I don't know why the mute button thing keeps coming off.
I said everybody's responsible for their own individual.
That was insane.
All right, Laura, what would you have done if the fact that you had posted that led to him being murdered? Would you then say, oh, everyone's responsible for their own actions?
As I said before, I was not trying to dox him or cause any harm to him. I blurred out the image, and I am sorry if the information is not fully blurred. I apologize if it was not properly blurred out, and I hope that people can accept that apology. If not, I understand. I thought that it was blurred out. I promise you, I thought that it was blurred out. But I understand. I understand that, you know, people are going to be upset, and I lost
it's
my
not people are going to be upset. You caused a massive amount of chaos after an action was taken against your account. That's what you did. There's a difference here. And I'm going to read out, just for the sake of it, I'm going to read out the apology that you wrote.
Adrian, hold on, wait, before that. Could you address the thing with Nick Fuentes' thing being left up? Because I'm having a ton of people asking about that.
Yeah, and I tried.
Did she cut out?
Yeah. No, I was saying I tried mentioning that in my post earlier as well, that people on this platform with premium access were posting Nick's address, and it led to him almost getting assassinated at his door. So my question is how does
if you knew that, why did you not take the precaution with the guy you were doxing now? You knew that Nick had almost gotten assassinated because of that, and you didn't take the precaution.
I did take the precaution. I told you that I had thought that it was all the way.
You clearly did not. As a quote-unquote citizen journalist, before you send anything out to the extremely large fan base that you have, you should look at the image again and again and again, fucking send it to your friend and say, is every personal piece of information completely obfuscated? And then send it out, which you clearly either did or did not. I can't tell. I don't really know. Then the next thing, what happened next is you actually did issue the apology post, which was, I was posting FEC records, which are public information. I was not trying to inflict harm on anyone. If Sriram felt as though that's the part that's bullshit, that's the part of it which is bullshit, I was trying to dox him. I sincerely apologize for that. I promise I wasn't doxing. I believe more speech is the answer, not less. Now, here's the thing. You said if Sriram felt as though I was trying to dox him. No, nobody felt anything. You did dox him. You did leave the public information in there, and you refused to properly vet it, which led to this being out there, if you are to be believed, which is insane. Anyways, X then had to deal with it by removing this post from the timeline for the safety of the individual whose public information was left in the FEC records. There's nothing wrong with posting the FEC records. What is wrong, however, is leaving personal information within these FEC records unobfuscated, which is exactly what you did. Said it out. And you still haven't properly apologized for it. You said if he felt as though he didn't feel shit.
I just did.
Hey, Laura, I'll make you a deal right now. I'll make you a deal you can't refuse. And everybody in here, how many is this? 2,000 people as my witness, right? Post exactly what Adrian just said as your tweet.
All right,
Apologize properly. And maybe I'll go to bat for you. Maybe.
All right. Before that, Adrian, can you address the whole Nick Fuentes shit? Because people won't stop shutting the fuck up about it and constantly whining.
All right, okay. I'll explain to you what it was. So someone, I'm not even sure what the source of it was, posted his address. Right, now this was a smaller account from what I could have seen. But anyways, this individual posted it, then a whole bunch of people quote posted it like absolute fucking mad. That account then got suspended, but a bunch of people screenshotted the original post and spread it around the platform like wildfire because everybody wants to see this fucking guy fail. If you have a platform that is as large as his, you have as many people coming after him as he does, then you have basically more of the hate following than you do an actual following, right? Because they kind of want to get under your skin as much as possible, and he kind of does that for entertainment or whatever. I don't fucking know what he does, really. He's a fucking insane individual. Anyways, so as a result of this, there are many people who just wait for an opportunity to shit on him in some way or cause him massive amounts of harm, and as such, that then gets spread all throughout the platform. Now, the issue is, if you have so much information coming out from places that you couldn't really nail down, pin down, or predict, then there's going to be some stuff that's left up and then dealt with at a later date, a date that is probably maybe a day or so. So if you deal with it, I can't speak for X. I just know that for myself personally, and I've dealt with a lot of information vetting and transmission systems. It's a fucking long story. Anyways, when you deal with this much information, and when you deal with that level of a viral incident on a platform that is that big, this big as X is, it is nigh impossible to scrub absolutely everything. And if you did, that would be an absolute miracle, and people worked overtime to prevent that from happening. It spreads some more.
Consider the fact that with this specific case, it came from your individual account, which is a massive account, whereas with that, it came from a bunch of accounts.
No, but Milo Yiannopoulos was the one that posted it. He did post it, and then what happened was people mass reported Milo, and there's actually screenshots of him sending money to an X user saying, if you send a Latin King gang member to Nick's house, I'll send you this money. And they posted that, and he used the DMs to send those messages.
I don't know if that shit is even real. I don't even know if that shit is real. You've lied so much within the last couple of days. I cannot believe a single word that comes out of your mouth.
No,
I don't think anyone should either.
He posted. People.
If I cannot see this directly, and unless somebody can verify this, other than you, by the way, or any one of your weird friends, I'm not going to trust it and just assume it's false. Because I have no other reason to believe it in any capacity. Because you've lied so much on so many levels that I can't even believe myself talking to you right now. It's insane. Like, literally every single thing of the line.
Laura, I want to ask you a question. Will you apologize?
Sorry for
your
go ahead,
Jordan. Thing cut out because they muted you. Say that again, Jordan.
I just want you to go on Twitter right now, or X, okay? Go, post, and put your heart into an apology and apologize correctly, okay? And I will help you out, okay?
I will say that.
And you send it to my DMs. Don't bullshit. It's already been 10 minutes and you're still here talking and running.
Because my character.
Adrian told you what to do. You refused to do it.
My character limit isn't that long.
Stop and do it.
So I will have to post it in multiple.
You don't need to be within the character limit for this one. It is that fucking easy to type out. Should I narrate it for you? Should I write it for you?
Please.
Should I? I'm being serious.
Please.
As well.
Because clearly she won't type it. So just
I will type it. I'm doing it right now, Jordan. I'm doing it right now.
And DM it to me, and I will go and make a phone call for you. Okay?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Holy moly, is it that hard to ask for help? You don't have to just run amok and just, like, literally, I just told somebody last night, you don't have to be fucking Machete. You don't got to run into a building and shoot everybody up, kill everybody. When the one last guy's bleeding out, you ask for questions. Like, why can't you just say, hey, like, I'm sorry, and just actually say sorry, not tag everybody and cause so much chaos and damage. And, like, you don't have to fish for clout, Laura. You already have it. When you fish for it even harder, look how hard everything's dipping down.
Okay. I'm not trying to get clout. I just want my verification.
Let me be honest with you. The last 2 days, if you would have just said, hey, I'm sorry, directly after you said, I feel like I'm misunderstood about my H-1B stuff. If you just immediately said, I'm sorry about doxing and I'm sorry about everything, instead, look what you did. You just caused even bigger of a riot. You literally put gasoline on the fire, and then you're expecting people to go to bat for you? Are you out of your fucking mind?
I said that I would apologize if.
Then do it.
I said that I would do it.
Then do it. It's just that simple. Say you're sorry. You're allowed to take accountability. This is a case study on accountability.
Well, I understand that. I'm not sorry for my views on immigration, though, but I will apologize right now.
Thank you. That's all everybody wants is just an apology. You literally put a man's life in danger whether you see it that way or not. That's the bottom line.
So, but can you see why someone like Elon Musk, who abuse with the H-1B visa situation, and it's a fucked up situation, but right now there's a lot of shit coming out that is not correct whatsoever. But you have to also admit that a lot of the most intelligent people in the United States today came on the H-1B visa because they didn't qualify for the O-1 visa, they didn't qualify for the EB-1, they didn't have enough money for the EB-5. That's the reason they're defending it, because they personally would not have been able to stay in the US without it.
Also, the narrative shift that you've caused has gotten people to absolutely lose their minds. There's no other way that I can describe this other than somebody losing their mind, because they literally advocated for the deportation of people such as Elon and Peter Thiel, who've contributed an invaluable benefit to the fucking United States of America.
Well, I don't think that you should be deported. So that's
I know, but what you did had these consequences. And there is no amount of talking that you can do in order to get yourself out of that. You're going to have to own this. This is a stain. You're going to have a bunch of fanatic followers that are going to forget this within 2 weeks. But many of us here will remember this for our lifetimes. This shit was insane.
All right. Well, again, I said that I'm going to apologize, and all I can do is apologize. So at the end of the day, that's all I can do. I'm listening, and I'm showing a good faith effort, and it's recorded. Everybody can hear that, and I'm going to DM you my apology as soon as I post it.
Laura's going to I have politely asked Laura to delete the chaotic post. Just, Laura, delete them, please. Like, for the love of Jesus, just please. Like, you don't have to incite chaos and cause a million people to lose their minds over the fact of one thing. If you remove it, I will stop what I'm doing on a Saturday night, and I will go and ask for help, okay?
All right.
That's it. That is it.
I want there to be peace, and I want people to focus on helping President Trump. And I will apologize for, again, I wasn't trying to intentionally dox, but I understand how it was perceived. And so I will do that. I don't want there to be
It's not perceived. It's not perceived. It's not perceived. Again, you're trying to dodge. It's not going to work. I know what you're doing.
I take responsibility, but I wasn't intentionally like.
It is not a perceived action. It was a objective action. As outlined by TOS itself, this action that you took led to your situation right now? No. Nobody felt anything. Nobody felt any way. You simply made a fuck up. And this fuck up was leaving someone's personal details in a bunch of public documents. That's it. No one's feeling any way about this. Stop dodging it.
Doxing does not require intent. You either posted the info or you didn't, and if you did, then you doxed. Period. And so when you say it wasn't intentional,
I understand. It was an accident. I'm not dodging accountability, and I am sorry.
but when you say it wasn't intentional, that is trying to mitigate your responsibility
No,
for
it's
what
not. It's not, because if it was intentional, I wouldn't have edited the post. I'm not going to be told that it was intentional. I said that I did not mean for the information to be unmasked. I clearly tried to attempt to edit the photo. I wasn't aware of the fact that it doesn't clear it and that it stays up in an original form. I honestly thought that after a couple minutes it cleared it to the new photo, and I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry.
So yeah, and I don't think anyone thinks you did it intentionally, but just you did it. So why try to say?
I said okay. I own it, and I'm sorry. What else do you want me to say?
Look, I'd really like if we could talk about the actual issue now. I feel like it's clear that the rule's broken.
Laura, please check your DMs.
Okay.
But I think they're
talking about it anymore. I have a serious migraine from dealing with this. I haven't slept in 3 days, and I understand.
Yo, LeBron, stop harassing the
I'm
legend.
here to convince anybody of an issue. I already said what I said. I mean, I probably posted 300 tweets about my opinion on this, and everybody understands. It's all over the news. Everybody knows how I feel about H1B. Everybody knows how I feel about Trump. Everybody knows how I feel about the de-verification of my account, and I want to be able to move on with my life, and I want to
Good, then maybe you should say it out of it entirely. Is that the same argument? Yes, it is. Is it very fucking stupid? Yes, it is. So yeah, don't use it. Don't use that argument. That is not an argument.
Okay, hold on. So this is what I'm at. Do you not want the best for the country?
I obviously want the best for the country because I worked my ass off to help get Trump elected this election season, put my life on hold so that I could help get him elected, and I believed from the get-go. And I would often, when you want to speak of trolling, I, for the longest time, would comment on every single one of Elon's posts and say, why haven't you endorsed President Trump yet? And eventually he did, and he donated to him, and I am grateful to that. I obviously...
Here's the question I have for you. Trump obviously wants the best for the country as well. From his point of view, he has decided that Shriram, even if he has Shriram, how do you pronounce the name? Shriram, Adrian.
Shriram, yes.
Yeah, Shriram. Even if he has different politics, Trump believes that he has the best advice specifically for AI. So if he has been willing to put away his differences, and if you believe that Shriram hates Trump or doesn't like him or whatever, and they've managed to put away their differences, because they want to work together to improve the country. Why do you have a problem with that? If Trump has already determined that he thinks this is the best person for the job, despite the fact that they don't share the same politics. Because even if you don't agree with the person, even if they have a different politics, everyone should still want the best for the country. And, Trump was still willing to go with J.D. Vance. Trump was still willing to go with RFK Jr. because everyone still has a shared goal of what's best for the country, even if they don't agree on how to get there. So why did you have such a problem with him specifically?
Because I have a very black and white perception of loyalty. And for me, I view government and administrations as needing to be loyalist. And people have different opinions on this, and maybe it's, who's the best person for the job? In my opinion, I feel that the best person for the job also should be who's the most loyal. And for me, when I see people trying to get into the Trump administration or being appointed into the Trump administration, and mind you, Serum's not the only person that I've called out who's been appointed to the Trump administration. I look at their records. I look at who they voted for. I look at who they donated to. And I just found it to be a little problematic that he's donating to Democrats a month before the presidential election. And it makes me question.
Do you not think that it's possible that Elon and David Sachs told him, sit down with him, they discussed it, they put away their differences, he changed perspectives perhaps?
Maybe.
Because it's entirely possible.
Maybe. Everything's possible.
Because Trump's not an idiot.
I know.
Right? He's not going to put someone that's going to completely fuck him over in the administration.
Exactly.
If he does, he immediately fires them.
Okay. Well, a lot of people did fuck him over in the first administration, and that's why I am so aggressive in my approach. And some people don't like my tactics, but the reason why I'm so aggressive is because I want President Trump to be protected, and I want us to truly have an America First administration, and I don't want saboteurs to infiltrate the administration like they did the first term and then end up staging a coup against the president like they did in his first term. And so for me, as somebody who's followed and supported President Trump since the beginning, that is the lens that I view things from. And so maybe some people will say that it's too aggressive or, you need to give this person a chance. But that's I'm explaining to you how my mind works. And I view loyalty as being very black and white. I don't see things, I don't see gray matter. I really don't. I just see things in black and white.
The last administration, Trump didn't have any experience. And that led to the issues that he had. He's already addressed that. This time he has better judgment because he already knows what's going on.
Well, we can hope. I hope that's the case. I mean, that's what we're told. And, I love President Trump. I know President Trump. President Trump knows me. President Trump likes me. And I'm going to be working to help his administration as well. So Elon's not the only one. There's some of us too, and we all have to get along. So we're all going to be working to help Trump.
Will you be retracting the insults that you've made to the quote-unquote generalized group that are the tech bros? Will you take that back?
Well, I have a lot of issues with a lot of the guys in tech. It's not just the people that I was criticizing online, including Elon. But as I was saying before, I've been subjected to years of deplatforming and dehumanization at the hands of people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, who are tech bros. And
they are not tech bros. There are people in tech. The real tech bros are people that are friends with each other and do things together. You could say that Elon and a bunch of other people have this, and these people have given you a lot of freedoms, actually, or have contributed to things that have given you a lot of freedoms that you didn't have before under the people that are also still in tech.
Laura, guys,
I guess I'll never get that one out of you, to be honest, because I feel as though the talking point of tech bros is so powerful, you're never going to let it go. By the way, one of the people who's supposedly, MAGA, is an individual who said now tech freaks. I'm pretty sure we know exactly where this is going next. Right, so you've started something, a bunch of you started a bunch of things, and I would highly recommend that you just basically shut that down as well, because it's going to cause a lot of chaos and make all of you look absolutely fucking stupid. People have brains, they have eyes, and they have ears, and there is no amount of talk that you can output that will at all convince any of these minds or ears of any assessments that are somewhat conflicting with logic.
So
I'm telling you
because the phone
this.
cut out, but what specifically do you not like about the term tech bro, and what do you want retracted?
I specifically have stated that what I don't like is the utilization of tech bros to discriminate against a bunch of people because you just so happen to disagree with them. You take a bunch of individuals, Elon and others included, lump them all up into one singular group, and then say all of these people are fucked up. That is fucked up. That is what has been done. And I would highly recommend, now you individual, you cannot see.
A lot of them are fucked up. And Elon's
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. That's the problem. You're taking a bunch of people that are definitely not fucked up.
A lot of them are.
You are taking a bunch of people that are not fucked up who are in tech, and you are bunching them up and you're putting them together in the same bucket as the people in tech who are fucked up, thereby passing off the whole bucket as fucked up, which is unfair to the people who aren't fucked up. You understand? That is your problem. That is the problem that you have caused, you've contributed to, and many others are contributing to as well. And this whole thing is shifting to basically target these people more individually now, calling them tech freaks instead of tech bros. I myself have been called tech bro. I don't really care about that. I think it's fucking hilarious as shit. Because like, what exactly am I doing in big tech? Anyways.
Well, I understand your perspective, but also I've been hurt by these people, and I want to see some results. I want to see some changes.
But lopping the people who have given you your ability to speak freely in with the same people that have taken that ability from you in the past is not fair and is bullshit.
Yeah, also the Indian community does not appreciate being called third world invaders. We're not rapists. I understand, you're very rightfully angry with H-1B program, the immigration system. It is absolutely a concern. But you've made many millions of people, including something under 1 million Indian Americans who voted for President Trump, furious. The Democrats are poaching these voters very aggressively, saying, oh, see, Trump doesn't like you. MAGAs don't like you. This is what they really think about you. A lot of money, work, and effort has been put in to recruit these wonderful individuals. And all they're just asking for is an apology just for some of the loose talk. This is a small gesture. It would really just make a lot of people just happy. Could you consider that in any way, Laura?
Why am I being asked to apologize for a conversation that millions of people participated in? We either have free speech or
no, you specifically participated in it from the perspective of contributing to this conversation by making remarks. These remarks specifically are the ones that people have an issue with. Participation from your end has been in the form of contribution, and in no uncertain volume, by the way. I can pull it all up if you'd like. You want me to narrate it to you, what you have said? It's insane that you don't remember this yourself, given that it's such a huge thing. Maybe you do it so much that you've forgotten, but that's exactly what this is. Freedom of speech.
I haven't forgotten. I do not hate Indian people, though. I'm just explaining to you stuff. You've also DM'd me multiple times, and so it's really kind of ridiculous for you to say to me that I don't like Indians or that I'm disrespectful towards your people, Utsuf, when you DM me regularly.
Wait, did you just say, hold up. Did you just say that I DM'd you or something?
No, I'm talking to Utsuf.
Yeah.
His name's Auto, no?
Well, I can't pronounce it.
About the Utsuf on stage.
I can't.
Okay. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful that you respond to DMs. I'm extremely grateful. What I'm simply saying is some of the remarks you made recently has alienated wide swaths of the Indian American community, especially those who voted for President Trump and contributed to him. And it is very, very hurtful because they are not all rapists and they do not have these perspectives that you're making them out to have. And you even questioned or implied about their loyalties to the country. It's caused a chilling effect. It's made them feel like, what the heck? I thought Laura was an advocate for the Indian community. She has spoken well of us in the past. She put out a very wonderful YouTube video defending us in the past. Why is she like so hostile now and saying all of these very crude comments about us? Why are we the victims of this? What did we do wrong to Laura? We've always supported Laura. Why the change? And they don't like it. They're very hurt. I'm not asking you to censor yourself. Just asking if you could consider apologizing to them because they're telling me.
Well, I'm sorry if people feel hurt. I just don't want my country flooded with more migrants. That's all. I want to reduce immigration, and I'm angry with the level of migrant crime in my country. I'm angry with the way that there's what some people would call reverse racism towards white Americans. I'm angry about a lot of things as it relates to the migrant.
Yeah, but here's the problem with this. The reason why this type of stuff happens is because the flood of immigrants are illegal immigrants specifically. If you were to consider, say, a ratio, it would be 3 million illegal immigrants, right? And then you have 85,000 legal immigrants. There's a difference, right? The problem is the illegal immigration, not the legal immigration.
Those are H-1Bs.
Yeah, H-1Bs.
No, those are
Sorry.
H-1Bs specifically.
Yeah.
Look, Laura, we're one of the lowest committing crime communities in the country. We don't have this issue. And more importantly, to the point, what is this? You get raped on arrival. Like, you're basically like ostracizing many millions of people who've never done anything personally wrong to you. Just the opposite. We talk about FEC records. Go look at your previous congressional campaigns. Many Indian Americans have given you.
Yes, I know.
You.
I like Indian
They
people.
like you a lot.
I like Indian food. I don't just like
They like
Indian
you
people.
a lot, and they don't understand why you have
Yeah.
to say these hateful things. Just apologize. Why can't you just say sorry? I was pissed. Just say sorry and move on. Like, just so that these folks don't feel alienated. I want them to support Trump. They know you're a Trump loyalist. They know you do a lot for President Trump. They just want confidence. Reassure them, please.
I do not hate Indian people. I do not have disparaging thoughts about Indians. I simply want to curtail the amount of migrants in my country, legal and illegal. And maybe that's controversial for people.
Yeah, but does being racist help this effort somehow? Do you believe that that's what that is? No, you have made remarks that are objectively racist.
Who agree with me. There's Indians who donated to my campaign who DM'd me and said, "You're right. I lived in India. You're right." They've told me this. Like, I feel like I'm being shamed into apologizing for everything. I'm going to apologize.
You should actually. You should apologize for every single thing that you did that is fucking wrong and that has robbed most people off of Christmas. Although I must say, the people who is robbed off of Christmas are people that kind of wanted to kind of get away from Christmas in a sense, I think. But the point still stands, right? You took the worst time of the year to unleash the worst controversy of the entire campaign.
No.
You realize this, right? By the way, out of every single group here and every single community on X, we are the only ones who are actually willing to have a discussion around accountability without being absolute pieces of shit about it, in a sense that we just support people that are trying to damage the system for no other reason than the fact that they are ideologically in opposition to whatever Elon or various other people who work at X believe. Right? So we're one of the only people here that are willing to actually address what's going on and are trying to get you to say something that somewhat amounts to an apology, because this is what the people want.
And I'm posting my tweet for Serum right now. I'm posting it. I'm doing
Jordan,
it
did you vet the thing? Is it nice? Is it good?
Can you at least consider saying sorry to the Indian community if they felt hurt, offended? Can you at least consider a small apology?
No, okay, no. Let's not force her into doing that. But she can consider it, but I think like directly attacking someone or causing harm is way worse than just the community.
Yeah.
If she feels like it, she can do it, but if she feels like it, she can do it, but she doesn't have to do it. And I don't think we should pressure her to do it. Because if we do try to pressure her into doing it, then it's not genuine.
Exactly. So, I mean,
I just posted my apology, by the way, so I'll DM it to you, Adrian.
Right, so, Laura.
And I'll read it. I'll read it for everybody because I am not full of shit and I'm not one to apologize. I mean, it's not exactly in my nature, but I'm apologizing because I want to have accountability and I want to act in good faith. And so I said, I deeply apologize for accidentally doxing Serum by sharing public FEC records with his personal info. It was an honest mistake and I take full responsibility. I have removed the post, and I promise that I will be more careful in the future when I post FEC records.
Or addresses in general, anything that...
Well, I'm limited on characters. When I get premium back, I can make a longer apology.
Yeah, can you put it in the reply section of that post and appear as a thread?
Let's have an actual...
Where do you want me to post it, Adrian?
You can post it as a reply to your very own post, any additional parts of the apology. If you wanted to, it'll appear as a thread.
My post was deleted. The original.
No, not the original.
Okay, but my post was deleted.
The apology specifically.
I think he's saying if you need extra space for words, you could just reply to the new post. But look,
create a thread.
Okay, Auda, say your thing.
After that's posted, I would actually like to have a proper discussion of what is actually reasonable immigration.
Yeah, I've been hoping we could talk about the policy side of things here for a while. And frankly, I want to say over the past half hour or so, I frankly think most of the people on here have been kind of unfair to Laura. I think pretty much everyone other than Laura here agrees with our opinion. I agree probably exactly with Adrian's opinion on immigration, but I think it sounds like we're trying to force her to apologize for her viewpoints. And to be very frank, I'm not familiar with her work, but from what she said tonight, it sounds like she has no intent of racism or anything like that. And I feel like there's a subtone here, frankly. Sorry to say this, Adrian, but I feel like the disagreement with your viewpoint on H-1Bs and immigration, you're framing it as if it's inherently racist. And that's exactly what I really don't like about this.
Busted! Elon's a bitch. Elon is a hypocritical bitch. Fucking busted.
Look, and you know that. You know us.
Busted. The truth comes out.
Racism.
The truth comes out. The truth will always come out.
In the past few days has actually been the most racist shit that's ever been on this fucking platform ever.
I know, and I said that last night as well, and you know that I have unending respect for both of you, but I have alarm bells going off in my head for over the past half an hour that this feels like a witch hunt, because like I was saying yesterday, it feels to me like the racists are not attached to Laura. They're not attached to the general disagreement with H-1B. And by the way, I wanted to quickly say a point on what you said about H-1B.
We specifically...
He muted his ass. Gotcha.
...said by her.
Gotcha.
We were interrogating the extent of what has occurred. We were clarifying what exactly has happened on the system level. We were making sure that we take the apology, correct it effectively, and explain what went wrong, how it went wrong, why it did, and why it shouldn't happen again. That is what we did. We didn't do anything else. Even sitting here on this stage, you were supposed to have observed us, but you didn't. I don't know why, but that is what we've done.
What I observed, let me say what I observed is she obviously broke the rules, and that's objective. But you also essentially demanded that she's either racist or a troll, and that just doesn't feel fair. And from my observation of the timeline,
that part I admit. I'm sorry. I squeezed a person in a little bit of a direction there.
Yeah, like
that part of it I did not agree with, but yeah.
Let me tell you by the way.
Yeah, I'm willing to admit that was a little bit harsh. Sorry about that.
Yeah. But
okay, thank you for apologizing.
Okay. let's leave everything, all of this shit before. What do you consider reasonable immigration?
What do I consider to be reasonable immigration?
Yes.
Well, personally, I don't want any migrants coming into the country that are going to disenfranchise any American worker or take any opportunity from an American citizen. And so I also think that we have such a crisis right now with migrant crime and the millions of illegal aliens that have flooded into our country during the Biden administration, that we need to have a conversation about a potential immigration moratorium. I campaigned on this. I campaigned on a minimum 10-year immigration moratorium when I ran for Congress. And I also am in favor of President Trump's policies to strip the visas of people that are promoting terrorist activity in our country. And I also support his policies of mass deportations. I think that we would see the quality of life and the standard of life for American citizens in all sectors of society improve greatly if we successfully carried out mass deportations. And I believe that one of the reasons why the cost of living is so high right now in America and why it's so expensive for people to raise a family and why it's so expensive for people to have a basic standard of living and not really be able to have a savings account or buy a home or do things that our parents and our grandparents were able to do 40, 50, 60 years ago is because of all of the resources that are being allocated by illegal aliens. And so I support
do you not think that is actually majority because of the fact that now both men and women require housing as opposed to a single family unit?
What?
What do you like? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, so when you had a family unit, you had a man and a woman. Now that relationships are completely fucked, no one's getting married, no one's having sex, whatever, all of that is gone. Now, men have their own housing, women have their own housing. You have all these boss babes that can't get a boyfriend or a husband or anything like that. They have their own housing. Do you not think that is the main reason for why people aren't able to afford housing?
No, because I mean, look, I do think that there's been a lot of like societal decline, and I do think that feminism has been cancer. And yeah, I'd say that there's a lot of boss babes out there that are against having families. And then, you know, I'm sure there's gonna be people on here that say, "Oh, well, what about you? Like, you're not married, you don't have kids." Yeah, that's true. I'm not married. I don't have children yet. I mean, I'd like to eventually, but it's also hard when you're trying to make a living and you're working very hard. You're working very long hours throughout the week. It's hard to have a work-life balance in today's society when you're trying to keep up with the rate of inflation and pay your bills and live the life that you want to live. So there are a lot of people I know that are married. They're young married couples, and they have a hard time. People I know have actually put off having children because they can't afford it. They can't afford it, and they're making, you know, what used to be considered decent money in this country. But I think that a lot of our problems and a lot of the reasons why Americans today have such a hard time affording housing and affording family planning is because of illegal immigration.
Do you not think that the 1.5 to 2 times the amount of housing necessary to have the same number of people has had any effect to play in that? Because the illegal immigrants are not making much money, and they're going into some of them are going into like 10 people per house. Right? So
yeah, but they're also put in Section 8. They're also being put in Section 8 housing. And, you know, I had Lynn Patton,
Section 8 housing is only around $20 billion a year. That is a fraction of the budget every year.
Yeah, but you have a lot of illegal aliens. The wait list for Section 8 housing used to be 1 year. Now, because of the influx of illegal aliens in big cities, the wait list is over 8 years. And so you have people now that are not, if you're not able to get Section 8, and I'm not advocating for more Section 8 housing, but look at people right now who are struggling to get by, and they apply for Section 8 housing, for example. Now, if you can't get Section 8 housing because the wait list is 8 years while you're trying to rebuild or save money or get your life in order, what are you going to do? You're going to be homeless, or you're just going to have to hope that you have family members that are going to be able to let you live with them. And not everybody has a family structure. Not everybody grows up with a happy family life. Not everybody has a support system. Not everybody has family that's willing to take care of the kids. Like, there's people out there that have support networks, and they could have a baby and they could work, and their mom or their dad would take care of their kid for them, or, you know, they would help provide them with childcare. But societal dynamics have really changed a lot, and there has been like a diminished focus around the family unit. Of course, that's affected things, but everybody has their own unique circumstances. So okay. I don't think that and it's also very hard these days to really meet people, because social media, I'd say, has made everybody kind of autistic, and social media has really impacted the way that people can meet and have long-lasting relationships. So I'd say that the internet has had a very damaging effect on people's ability to have families. And you're talking about people living in separate homes, but I mean, to get back to the conversation of illegal immigration.
Yeah, so no, hold on. Every single person on this stage pretty much agrees that the illegal immigrants should be deported. Right? They're not good in any way. Yes, some of them may contribute to farming, but they cause a lot of problems as well. And the quality of the illegal immigrants has also gotten worse over time, as a lot of countries basically open up their prisons and send them away and refuse to take them back. Right? Before then, it was like in the past, it used to be that if you committed a crime, you would immediately be, taken in, and they would find out that you're illegal, and they would send you back home, right? So the illegals, even back then, were committing way less crime, but now, because you've got sanctuary cities, they're committing crime and they're getting away with it, and they're causing a lot of problems. So everyone on this stage agrees that you should deport the illegal immigrants. But what do you think is a sensible immigration policy for legal immigration? What is a sensible one for legal immigration? Because you want to make it less.
I just said before that I think that the crisis is so severe right now, and Americans are struggling, and we have had such an invasion and such a rapid increase in violent crime and just crime in general, that we need to pause immigration for a while. I don't think that it's unrealistic. Now, I know that the arguments are going to be, well, we need immigrants to fulfill labor, and we need immigrants to do these jobs. But that's my personal opinion, and that's what I campaigned on as a candidate for Congress. And that's
okay. But after 10 years,
I have a more nationalist immigration policy. I personally think that we need to have an immigration moratorium, because a lot of the illegal immigrants in our country today were people who came here illegally, and nobody wants to have this conversation about how probably half of the illegal aliens in America today were people who came here the quote-unquote right way, but they've overstayed their visa because, well, they're in this country. What do they want to do? Do they want to go live in the shadows, as they say? Or do they want to go back to the shitholes they came from? And I'm saying shithole, that's exactly what President Trump said. He called it a shithole, because a lot of these countries are shitholes. They're third world shitholes, as I said in the tweet. And I'm not going to apologize for calling it a third world shithole, because that's exactly what President Trump called it. And that's why these people want to stay here, because they don't want to, if you're already living here and your visa's expired and you can just go hide out, and nobody in your family or none of your friends that you've met in America are going to tell people where you are, why wouldn't people want to stay here? Of course they're going to stay here illegally, and they're not going to try to renew their visa or do it the proper way. So what is the solution to, you're talking about how we need to have legal immigration, but what is the solution when there's no enforcement mechanism, when half these people, or even more, are staying past their visa expiration date, and now they are also contributing to illegal immigration. Okay, they like to say, well, these people are working and not all of them are criminals, and they just don't want to, they want to make money to send back to their family. Everybody has a sob story. Everybody has a sob story, including American citizens. And I just remind people all the time, watch hillbilly elegy. Look at JD Vance. It's the perfect example of this. Okay, JD Vance grew up in Appalachia. JD Vance grew up with a drug addict's mother, no father. Grew up in a fucked up household with dysfunction in a town where most people don't get to leave. Friends getting addicted to drugs, having fentanyl overdoses, having to pay for his mom to go to rehab, being raised by his grandmother. And what about all those people that just want a better life? And that's what I feel like. That's why I feel like there's so much animosity, and that's why I'm not going to say that the conversation got vitriolic on Twitter this week. I mean, you want to make it sound like I incited a total mob. The reason why there's so much anger is because it's real. You don't need incitement. I didn't need to incite anything. The anger has been pent up, and people are just so tired of feeling like they don't matter because of the color of their skin. People are so tired of feeling like they don't matter because there's this assumption that if you're white, or you don't even have to be white, if you're an American citizen, that you're privileged and that you have so many opportunities. There's a lot of people, including myself, right, who had to fight to get to where they are today, that had dysfunction in their childhoods, that didn't grow up in a two-parent household, right? And it's just kind of like this dismissive attitude by the elites that the only people that are hardworking, that have adversity, or people who have challenges in their life, are immigrants from these third world countries. There's a lot of people in America that had a shit childhood and a shit upbringing. Doesn't matter if they grew up wealthy, doesn't matter if they grew up poor. I know Elon can relate to this too, from hearing stories about his childhood, right? The richest man in the world, it sounds like he had a pretty fucked up childhood. Everybody has their own trauma, so you're not immune to it. And it's the fastest way, in my opinion, to just make people go absolutely batshit crazy online. And that's what happened on Christmas, is people probably viewed it as a very cathartic experience to share their views and their pent-up frustrations, because there's a lot of people in this country that have been told you're not good enough, or they've had employers assume that they're not deserving of an opportunity. And every single person in this country has their own individual experience. They have their own experience, and you're not going to know that just by looking at them. A lot of people have had to struggle. A lot of people have had to fight. You look at people that are successful today, well, how did they get there? How did they get there? Not everybody who is successful today, not everybody who looks like they have privilege was given everything on a silver platter. Some people have had to really fight and struggle. And JD Vance is a perfect example of that, as I said. And there needs to be more empathy. There needs to be more empathy for the everyday, hardworking American that has struggles and adversity in their life. And so I'm not going to apologize for the things that I said. I apologize for the doxing, but I'm not. I speak for many people, and I've had people that are terrified. Oh, Laura, thank you so much for speaking out. I work in tech. I've worked in tech for 25 years, and I'm a white male. Oh, Laura, thanks so much for speaking out. My son just graduated from Ivy League school. He had a 4.0 GPA, top of his class, and he can't get a job because he's a white engineer. Like the stories that I
yeah, but that's more of a DEI problem, though. That's a DEI problem.
Are heartbreaking.
So I have a point.
There's people that have a lot of stories, and I'm saying that there needs to be more empathy towards hardworking Americans, instead of this assumption that Americans are not deserving because of the privilege of where they grew up, or the privilege of living in what's considered to be the most powerful or the richest country in the world.
Okay.
Americans are capable of having just as much adversity as a third world migrant. Americans are just as deserving. And that's all I'm trying to convey. That's what I'm trying to convey, and that's why I'm so angry.
Okay.
I'm really angry.
Laura, hold on. Wait. Laura, so 10-year moratorium. What about after that?
Well, it depends on whether or not we're able to fix our economic situation and reduce crime and start putting Americans first. Why should we be importing a single immigrant into our country when we have record homelessness, American vets sleeping on the streets of America, It costs money to prop these people up. Okay, it costs money
Okay,
to prop
what
these people
about-
up and sustain
what
the
about-
lifestyle of immigrants in our country.
Okay.
I just want Americans
about-
to be
hold
taken
on.
care of first.
Hold on, wait. What about people who are wealthy and they have to have a visa where they have to employ Americans and create jobs for Americans,
Yeah,
and they have to specifically target rural areas
yeah. For instance,
that are underserved?
it costs America nothing to bring me in, and I'm bringing tens of millions of dollars to employ Americans. So there's a lot of people that are coming in to help the economy. But look, I wanted to ask a little bit of a more subtle strategy question.
Hold on, wait. No. Hold on, wait. I want an answer from her. Because she's saying that these people are leech on basically
Grow up in a
America.
two-parent
Leech on
household,
Americans.
right?
What about that specific
And it's
situation?
just kind of like
Because
this
that's called the
dismissive,
EB5
this
visa. It has a
dismissive
lot of
attitude by
flaws
the
that should
elites
be
that the
fixed.
only people that are
That's
hardworking
basically
that
it.
have
There's exceptional
that
people.
have
There are
diversity or people who
exceptional
have
people.
challenges in their
But
life are
one of the
immigrants
reasons
from these
why
third world
this
countries.
conversation got so
A lot
heated
of
this week is
people in
because they said
America
it's highly
have
skilled,
to
and
get
then
out
they
there
started
and
pulling all the H1B visa hiring sheets
Yeah,
to
but
scare
you just
people.
said you want zero immigration, so I'm asking you specifically: are those people fine or not?
I mean, I suppose that it would be not entirely unrealistic to have a full immigration moratorium, but there are certain people who could contribute to society, but we would need to have. I mean, moratorium means a complete stop, obviously, but the issue is most of the people that are coming in that are getting these visas are not exceptional individuals.
Yes,
They're just not.
we agree with that, but what do you do? What do you do with the exceptional individuals?
There's always outliers. There would have to be an exception to the rule, but it would have to be capped, and it would have to be severely capped. I mean, I'm not talking thousands of people. I'm not talking hundreds of thousands of people. I'm not talking millions of people like Jason said the other day once. 5 million immigrants per year, 100 million over 20 years. I mean, that's just outrageous. It has to be extremely selective. Extremely selective. And there's not really a selective process, and that whole process is what just got exposed this week, which is why people are up in arms, because I don't really think that this issue has ever received this much publicity or this much of a spotlight. And when you're telling people that it's the best and the brightest, it's a very dehumanizing term. It's a very condescending term to tell people living in America that the reason why we have to have these visas is because we need the best and the brightest. We need to start focusing all these people like Elon Musk, right, who's an immigrant himself. They should be. I'm not saying he's not investing in our country, but they should be trying to foster and cultivate American innovation by training and providing encouragement and confidence to American STEM students. And I'm not denying the fact that we have a lacking educational system in this country. We do. I mean, that's clearly.
Well, it's more than just education, right? It's also the drive of the person themselves.
No.
And this was addressed by what's his name? The Indian guy. Vivek. And they tore him a new asshole. But
yeah, because what he said is wrong. He's basically saying that we don't have culture, and if we don't have culture, and this is my point. Go back to where you came from.
Yeah, but
it's
It
insulting.
was
You have to be
conservative.
respectful. You have to be respectful of the country that you're inhabiting, and you don't just come into another country and tell people. Yes, I understand that Vivek is from America, but a lot of the replies online were from Indians that were saying things like, "Oh, well, I'm an immigrant worker," and you're right. It's just a bunch of lazy white people, and we're gonna replace you. We're gonna conquer America. And you should have seen the amount of
Okay.
replies online that we're talking about conquering America.
Hold on. So
It's offensive.
conservatives have been saying for years and years and years, and there's a massive cultural decline. You know, you've already said that you think feminism is cancer, and
Yeah, and
you know,
who's
it's plaguing
responsible for
society.
that? Can we just say something? Can I say this? Who's responsible for that? It's the Democrats and all these new guys that are joining the MAGA movement from big tech. I know that Elon doesn't like the term big tech bros, okay, or tech bros, but I will say tech bros in this sense, right? The tech bros that all of a sudden want want to join MAGA and say that they're
Oh, Jimmy,
they're
Pride
pro-Trump and they want a
45.
seat at the table on the advisory board and they want to work with President Trump to make America win again, as they say. They're the people that were funding all of this insanity over the years. Like, you want to talk about accountability. Well, why don't we hold the donors accountable? A lot of these people in big tech are responsible for the cultural rot in our country. They've been financing Democrat policies and progressive leftist political movements for years that have contributed to the decline of our educational system, where they're teaching people that there's more than two genders and telling men that they need to have tampons in the bathroom. Some of these tech companies themselves put tampons in their bathrooms for men. So my point is that these people want to mock us and they want to say that we're not smart enough to work in their industry and that's why they have to import immigrant labor, is because Americans aren't driven enough. But they're the ones that have been funding this cultural rot in our society for years, and then they want to turn around and say that it's our fault. Where's the accountability for the people that have been financing this bullshit?
Laura, to be clear, I think Adrian had a good point earlier that you shouldn't bag all the tech people together, because all of these people coming into Trump's admin now, like David Sachs and Vivek and JD and everybody, they've all been the isolated black sheep in tech that have been Republican and been anti-woke for decades. I think Elon is perhaps one of the only ones that was
Elon has not been a Republican for decades.
Yeah, he's one of the exceptions. Sorry, if I could just ask you.
And also David Sachs.
He's been right-wing forever.
President Trump, and he supported Ron DeSantis. So again, there needs to be some understanding that the people like me who have been fiercely pro-Trump since the beginning, okay, you know, I used to work for Project Veritas. I worked undercover in the Clinton campaign exposing corruption and fraud and voter fraud and all these issues now that all these tech guys want to talk about. Okay, it's really insulting to people like me and other original MAGA people when people who have been pro-Trump for 5 minutes and show up to Mar-a-Lago with a couple $1 million, or in Elon's case, I mean, obviously I'm grateful for the money he spent and he invested into President Trump's campaign, and I do believe that it helped save our country. But you know, now that we've quote unquote saved our country from Kamala Harris and the radical left, like, are we really saving our country, or are we headed towards this kind of like dehumanizing and I view it as anti-American, like pro-immigrant sentiment that kind of demoralizes the everyday American spirit? Are we really saving our country, or are we?
Yeah, I get it.
I know that there are people on here who work in tech who are going to take offense to this, but honestly, I feel like a lot of these people just want to create a monarchy. That's what I feel. I feel like they want to do away with the American government, and they view themselves as monarchs, and that they view the American people as just a bunch of like low IQ. And I'm not saying this term to sound like racist, right? But that's how.
I think you're lumping too many people on tech into a bag, because I understand that.
A lot of these guys, they share this philosophy, and it seems like they want to do away.
Like which ones? Which ones specifically? Names. I would like to have names.
Well,
I think the issue.
I would like to know what Elon's perspective. I would like to know what Elon's perspective is as it relates to his. I would like to know what his views are towards the United States government, and if he actually respects the concept of a constitutional republic, or if he prefers a monarchy. Because I saw a tweet that he replied to the other day from Mike Cernovich that said, "Don't come at the monarch," and it didn't even tag Elon Musk, and he replied to it. Or something like, "Don't attack the monarch," and he replied to it. So I'm wondering, like,
reply to it with what?
Referring to the platform itself.
He replied to the tweet, and I just found it to be a little striking. And so
but hang on a second. What did he reply with exactly?
Yeah, but that.
So first let's establish the context. Was in the context of a platform, not within the context of a government.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's the context. Now, what did he say? What was his reply to this joke?
Let me pull up the. I don't think it was a joke.
That's where we said he's attacked all the time, right?
Yeah.
Pull it up. I have to go back in my screenshot.
Isn't that where he said like I'm attacked all the time on this platform? So I think he was clearly referring to the platform.
He said I'm attacked all the time on the platform. Yeah. I'm going back. Let me look for the screenshot.
Laura, I understand that Zach is not a Trump loyalist for the past 10 years and so on, but I wanted to ask a more subtle strategic question, because obviously we're not going to get a complete moratorium on immigration, and frankly, I don't think 95% of Americans would support that. So my question to you is, Trump came out in support of H-1B earlier, and like Auda and Adrian pointed out, H-1B is like under 100,000 immigrants a year. We had like 5 million.
I'll just say, look, that was a very deceptive tactic by John Levine. Okay, so John Levine does this. He's very sneaky, works for the New York Post, and he got called out for this. And he did not show President Trump. It was, from my understanding, a phone conversation, did not show President Trump the tweets in question. And I think that President Trump, I'm not saying that he's confused, but he has
I think
more,
that's a subjective opinion. We can assess the validity of this when Donald Trump makes an official statement from himself from his own profile page, wherever he happens to be on.
H-2B visas. Yeah, but he said that he supports the visas. He didn't necessarily say H-1B. He said that he utilizes visas at his properties, and a lot of those visas are not H-1. Some of them are, but some of them are H-2 visas. So I think that it's important to not put words, because I also saw people saying, oh, this is what President Trump said, and then they were posting segments from the older interview that he did on the All In pod. And it's like, okay, let's be honest here. That is not what President Trump said today. He may have said that previously in an interview, but they're acting as if like this interview from a few months ago is his statement today. And then they don't want to acknowledge the video from 2016 where he's completely tearing apart the H-1B visa.
Again, 2016 promises under the 2016 campaign and have nothing to do with the 2024 campaign, because it was a different campaign, and this campaign won.
That's where I freak out. That's where I just promise.
Well, they did win it, the campaign.
That campaign is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. It's just finito, finished.
Elon, it's not. Elon, it's not a. It's not.
Whoa! Hold up a second. Are you calling Elon?
Sorry, Adrian. Excuse me.
Wait. Yes.
Adrian.
Oh my God.
Adrian.
Yeah.
Your voice just sounds so. Your voice.
I know. It's a bit confusing. Yeah. What do you want to say?
It sounds so. You sound just like Elon. So I thought. I was talking.
Yeah, I understand. It happens. Honest mistake happens. Yeah, Auda, hang on a second. Auda, will you say something?
All the time, I'm sure.
So there's for some reason hundreds of supporters that think I'm Ian Miles Chong, so I'm gonna let him up just to fucking disprove this thing.
It clearly has not worked for me and Elon, but sure, let's do it.
Can I just say, it's pretty clear to me that when you say Americans, you're not necessarily talking about all American citizens. So you might want to more carefully define who you're talking about when you say that, because there are a lot of hardworking legal immigrants who I think are actually excluded by your comments, and I think it's kind of illustrative.
They're not Americans, though, and I'm saying Americans. When I'm talking about Americans, I don't consider them to be Americans.
Yeah,
you're not American just because you're a legal immigrant. You're an American if you become a citizen.
But I guess the larger point that's being made is that your freedom of speech is not freedom from criticism or freedom from consequence of speech. And you've been told about
I'm used to being criticized every day. I'm not saying that I'm immune to criticism. If I didn't want to be criticized, I would have,
You're clearly incapable of having proper arguments, though, because you always go for ad hominems. You don't ever address anything I say. You just point out that I'm Malaysian or something, like it fucking matters. Do you point that out to other foreigners? Or is it just me because I'm like Asian? Is that the only reason, Laura?
Is this Ian Miles?
Yes, it is Ian Miles Chong. It's quite obvious it is.
Yeah, so I pointed out to you because you constantly try to undermine our political discourse.
Who's our?
American citizens, and you try to say that people, like you were attacking me today and saying that
I have to go pull up your tweets, but you posted an image of me with a clown face. You suggested that I was a member of Al Qaeda.
I didn't suggest you were a member of Al Qaeda. I was pointing out a similarity between Al Qaeda calling for peace
I'm
and
not
you
Al
calling for
Qaeda.
peace.
There's nothing similar between.
No, that's pretty similar. I would say that's pretty similar, and it's very subjective. You may disagree, and
In the past, you
Yeah, I
guys
would agree. I want to say
defended
something at this
me
point, so two
from-
voices are overlapping, just to prove. It.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah,
just to
you're
clarify,
not a
for some
United
reason-
States citizen, and I find it to be rather.
Okay, Laura, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Hang on a second, Laura. Hang on. What do you get? We want to address.
I don't know why this is. I don't know why this is, but this happens all the time.
I don't know you from Sunday. I've never even heard of you. Well, I don't mean that as an insult, by the way.
I'll make sure
I'm
it's fully
happy.
right.
No,
I'll
it's
do
fine.
that.
Yeah.
Fine, don't worry. Hold on. So I've brought both of you on
Incredible.
just to clear up any bullshit that goes on in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be happy to get it down. Trust me, he's cool.
Nice.
You know what? That's the only. Reason I'm here. I woke up to about 20 X notifications tagging me.
The listeners by someone.
Oh my God.
Who's listening? Yeah.
I didn't see.
Oh yeah, man. If he likes to come up, we'll have a good honest debate with him.
I think most of us agree from here, except for Laura.
Yeah, we have a bunch of intersectional views here, I'd say, rather.
Oh, can I ask my question from earlier? So, Laura.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut Adrian off though because well, go ahead. Actually, ask your question, then I'll get into it.
My question is I understand your opinion on the policy, but I think we all know that we're not going to have a complete moratorium. So, considering that we have 4 years of Trump ahead of us, we have 2 years of a Republican Senate and Congress. There's 3-4 million illegal immigrants coming in every year, and we have DEI all over the country. Wouldn't it be better to focus on those things first and not create a division?
Create a division over H-1B as opposed to focusing on mass deportation?
Yeah, in the sense that there's a decent amount of people on the Republican side that support legal immigration. Why not try to kind of maintain?
Because I don't want any more.
It's not about what you want, it's about what America needs.
Yeah, I'm asking about the strategy. In terms of how do we get from where we are now with only 2 years of trilateral majority ahead of us.
Because
how do we get
I'm just going to point something out that a lot of Republicans probably in the comments are going to get mad at me for saying this, but just because you won an election doesn't mean you control the country, right? America is not a plurality. It is not a democracy. It's a republic.
That's exactly what it means.
No. It's a democracy. It is not a democracy. It is a republic. It is a republic.
It is a constitutional republic, yes.
Exactly.
It is a constitutional republic, and we have control.
No, you don't have control. You don't even have control of the Senate. What are you talking about?
What are you talking
about? You don't have control of the Senate. Just because you have the president, you still have the Senate, who is which is controlled by the Democrats right now.
The Republicans just took back. What are you talking about? The Republicans just took back control of the Senate.
Yeah, they took the Senate and the House as well.
What are you talking about?
My brain is still somewhere else. But regardless, though, you still need everybody to be on the same page. Though you need a plural, a whole bunch of people.
And they are being pressured, and that is why I am so important. in
No, you're not
terms of
that
having my
important.
account access.
You don't have access to these
You're not
people.
listening to me. You just said, I'm trying to explain to you, the reason why I'm important in terms of my account access is because who do you think goes around and questions and puts pressure on these Republicans to support Trump's mandate and his policies? Who do you think it is that actually starts these conversations? You know, I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I am one of the few that actually has had the balls to question these Republicans, you know, to their face, and use my media company and use my access to X and my verification to support Trump's mandate and to question these people and ask them the questions that everybody is too afraid to ask. And so I'm not saying, oh, I'm so important. Like a lot of people are important, but yes, how do you think that's going to get done? There's subversive people in the Republican Party that don't want to support President Trump's policies. They're called rhinos. You know, Elon Musk has been talking about how he wants to primary these people. Like, what do you think that I'm doing?
But he also wants to primary to people who are too extreme.
I do opposition. I use my account and I do opposition research on these people to blow them up, to basically show the public and to show our country who is working against the mandate, who is working against secure borders, who is working against border security.
Like, I appreciate that, which I even give you credit for it, right? I have supported you in the past, you'll admit, yes?
Yeah, you have supported me, but you're acting like, oh, Lauren.
Yeah, but when you take an extreme position, like a complete moratorium on immigration, it's just not going to work because there's going to be too much pushback. Not even from, you know, not even just the rhinos. The entire industry will be opposed to it. Like, how are you going to go against that?
It has to be the standard. We have to condition people.
Why does it have to be the standard? Why?
Because we need to start conditioning people into actually supporting strict immigration so that we don't get these pussy Republicans and Democrats caving and pushing.
Yes, but how do you think your food is so cheap? Who do you think is picking all of the food? And I'm not talking about illegal immigrants. I'm talking about legal migrants. Where are you going to get this expertise? Because Americans are not taking up these jobs. They're not taking up the trades. They're not good enough, really. I mean, no one is good enough, honestly, to do AI, which is why every country in the world that is doing AI, whether it is America or Germany or anywhere else.
It's not about
increasing wages. It's just that they don't exist, which is why countries are poaching from each other. China.
And they don't exist because the migrants that are they don't exist because even the migrants that are coming here and working are treated like slaves. I mean,
they're not being treated like slaves. Have you seen how much these AI engineers get paid? The pay isn't the issue.
I'm talking about the people that are picking our food. We're talking about the people that are picking our food. And there's countless stories. You can look it up online. There's a million stories about feds bust
illegal operations. They should be shut down. They should be shut down.
Migrants living in a filthy shed, and you have people that threaten these migrants and say, oh well, I'm gonna have you deported unless you agree to work for $3 an hour, and they're basically treated like
and those
slaves.
people should be shut down. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the legal operations.
These immigration policies, strict immigration policies, is the humane thing to do for immigrants. It's not just the humane thing to do for our country.
It's about economics.
It is about being.
What about economics? What about when everything becomes so much more expensive, and then maybe not you, but other people will be asking, why is everything cost so much, right? They'll be asking that. And then the answer is, well, we don't have people to do it.
Everything costs so much right now because we have about 65 million illegal aliens in our country that are taking up housing and taking up space and taking up government resources.
Food is cheap.
That's why everything costs so much.
No, that's not what I referred to.
Food is not cheap. Food is so expensive.
Have you compared it to Europe? Europe is triple the price of what Americans can pay for a lot of food.
Hey, well, I don't live in Europe and I don't have any aspiration to go live in Europe.
Yes, but why do you think that is? Why do you think it's expensive over there? It's because they have all of these regulations that prevent migrants from coming in and working these low-wage jobs. Americans don't have those laws. Americans are importing a lot of people illegally to come in and do all these jobs that nobody else wants to do, which is why things are cheap. It's just simple basic economics. I don't know why that's so hard to parse. And beyond that, a lot of these people are not criminals. I'm not talking about illegals. Obviously, deport the illegals. No one's saying don't deport the illegals.
Okay, well, I don't want to take the risk on, a lot of these people are not. It's like a poison pill. Okay, so look, if somebody were to give you a bag of Skittles, okay, and
oh my God, you sound like a feminist right now.
Listen,
this is a feminist argument. The Skittles argument is
okay. Let's calm it down. We're not going to do that. No. Okay, hold on.
And they were to poison 7 Skittles. They poison.
God damn, I hate the mute button sometimes. Okay, let's calm down again and return back to the policy discussion. Let's not create derogatory terms as a way of communication.
Super quick, Ian. You do realize engineers in Europe get paid like half of what they get paid in America. It's definitely not the high-paying engineers. So I don't see how the economic policy applies in what you mentioned in EU.
No, the problem with Europe is twofold, right? Stuff is expensive, and the jobs have a really pretty high minimum wage, but the ceiling is really, really low, right? That's the problem, especially the UK. They get a pretty decent minimum wage, but they don't get paid a lot. Like, they cap out at about £30,000 a year, which is like nothing, and half of it goes to taxes.
Right, and that's
it's a different problem. Right? It's a lot of labor laws that are causing that.
But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how really high-paying jobs, and you're saying that if we take those high-paying jobs,
no, we were talking about two different things. I was talking about the low-wage jobs, that not H-1Bs, but rather the people who work on, who work in the trades, for example.
Oh,
that's who I was referring to.
I thought you were talking about legal immigration.
No, yeah, people don't even work in Europe. They just go to China or like Dubai or something. No, they don't work. Europe doesn't even have anything apart from like those guys who make the what do you call it, the lithography stuff in Netherlands.
Oh, EUV. EUV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys are like the only ones there, and I guess Philips. Yeah.
And no, Philips actually doesn't do anything. Philips basically Philips only does medical equipment nowadays. They've just licensed the name to Chinese companies.
That's unfortunate. So they're like a patent thing now, I suppose.
It's just a name. It's just a name now. They mostly do medical stuff. And EUV is actually a U.S. technology, and it's been licensed to. It's only been licensed to. Fuck, why am I forgetting the name?
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
ASML.
ASML, yeah.
ASML, yes. So it's only been licensed to ASML, so it's not even that the Europeans have done the best job, it's just that the fact that they're the only ones that have it.
They're the only ones that with the license they have the manufacturing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Dang. And it's also becoming kind of, unnecessary now because the Chinese have actually caught up. Yeah.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
Are they pretty close under like 3 nanometers right now?
No. China, so under 7 nanometers, it's completely impossible. So under 7 nanometers, you cannot do it currently you cannot do it at all without EUV machines. The Japanese, I think specifically Nikon, came up with a technology recently that would be able to do it. That's actually cheap.